Hey everyone, can you hear me? See heads turning, so I'm just assume that's a yes.
Yes.
Awfully quiet. Are you all able to hear me? I got a thumbs up from the manager. Okay, that's good. I only have kind of a limited view here. Is everyone there? I can see Commissioner Amsler walking around, so I'll wait a second there. But otherwise we're prepared. Would someone mind just trying to speak into a microphone? Just because I can't. It sounds very quiet.
Can you hear us?
There we go. Excellent. Thank you. So I think I got a thumbs up from the manager that everybody's all here and accounted for. So I have 6:01. So if we're ready to get started, we'll go ahead and call to order the meeting for this evening. And just, for I guess a point of order, since I'm here on Zoom, the internet here has been a little spotty. So certainly just let me know if I'm breaking up or you can't hear me. I am out of town for a work event right now, so I'll be here as long as I'm able to before my next meeting. So anyway, today's August 19th, 2025. We are here for our first budget workshop. We Again, this being a workshop, we only have the presentations and discussions here on the agenda for this evening. Um, Now I know, Mr. Manager, and I think that's Paul there with you. I think that we were planning on doing things a little differently this year. So I know, Mr. Manager, you've set out some of further along the department reports. I'm planning on having the departments, at least police, Parks and Rec, and code compliance, present present to us this evening. But is there any, you just maybe want to kind of, you or Paul, give us kind of an overview on how you expect the workshops to go? It seems like we'll do the presentations. If there are questions for each respective department, then the commissioners will have an opportunity to kind of have a discussion. But being a workshop, this is just, I guess, more exploration at this point of what each department is looking for.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Mayor. So we, thank you. Thank you. Little too, still too loud. Better? Better? So, Mr. Mayor, yes, we have three departments that are presenting tonight. Police, Parks and Recreation, and Code Compliance. And then after each presentation, we'll open it up for questions and for the commission to ask the department directors or myself and the finance director is here. But before we get into that, Mr. Mayor, if I could just take a moment, we had a request for a variance that was scheduled in May, but the property owner could not stay at the hearing. It was running late, so she left a little bit earlier. We want to reschedule that variance. The clerk will reach out to each of you. Should be about an hour to see what date's best for you. And tonight I was looking, there's fees involved for that rescheduling of that variance. If I could just get consensus this evening to waive those fees, and then the village clerk will reach out to you to schedule that variance.
Certainly fine by me, since they had already, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, they had already paid the associated fees necessary for the first variance hearing.
Yes, they did. Yes.
Okay. Certainly would be fine by me, but I'd open it up to the commission if there's any questions or anything.
It's fine with me.
Fine with me.
Yeah, it's fine with me as well.
And then once the clerk reaches out to all of you, she'll announce it at the second budget workshop what date that variance will be, and so we can schedule that, put it on the agenda, and notice it.
Excellent. Okay, great. So
go
ahead.
Go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
No, I was just going to say back to the budget presentation.
Yes. So tonight's the first night of our 2-day budget workshops. We'll have presentations, as I said, from the police department, Parks and Recreation, and Code Compliance. You'll see that each department has a very lean budget, and that we have emphasized doing more with less. In some of the departments, you will see a shift in the organizational structure that will emphasize efficiency and effectiveness and placing the right people in the right positions. The overall budget represents lowering the millage rate from 9.4 to 9.3. For fiscal year 25-26, we anticipate $2.3 million in capital improvement projects, and we'll be getting more into that on the second day of the budget workshops. Our police chief was a little under the weather this evening. He had spent last night in the emergency room, but he's back home resting. So he's not going to be here to make the presentation, but Captain Rosario is. And before I turn it over to the police department, I just want to turn it over to our finance director, and he'll make some brief comments.
Thank you. I think the manager handled most of the things I was going to say perfectly, with a little highlight on the budget structure. You may have noticed the June financials came out. This and the draft budgets are evolving the CIP fund, where it's literally a standalone fund, which all the revenues from grant, revenues from our end of the year contributions, revenues that are designated by ordinance at the end of the budget cycle, et cetera, will be the income. And then you will allocate to those projects. We'll talk about that more in depth, but I just wanted to bring your attention because I know a few of you have had questions about it. And I think I resent the financials, but if you look down there, you'll start to see how the details are flowing together. And as the manager mentioned, there's some slight structural changes, and those are reflected in all of the benefits and salaries, et cetera. So we've carried everything to a very accurate number. And the manager also mentioned the 9.3 millage rate. Included in this overall budget, just to give you a big picture, is over $530,000 in additional funds with a 9.3 millage rate. So that's a significant amount of money. And I think you can, if you didn't read between the lines, you have millions of dollars worth of capital projects, and you will make decisions later about what to do with that. But at this time, we're just getting into the operations, as the manager said.
So now, Mr. Mayor, I'll turn it over to our police department, Captain Rosario, for make his presentation.
You hear me?
I can. Well, if I could.
Perfect. Thanks.
This is the same presentation you sent by email yesterday? Yeah?
That is correct. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I got it.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Members of the commission, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, and residents, Madam Clerk, Mr. Manager, and everyone present here. Thank you very much. I would like to start with so our mission, function, and speak a little bit about a leadership transition in the past few months. Our mission continues to be the same: preservation of life, protect our property, prevent crimes, and maintain order through community-oriented policing from our department. Our core values, transparency, integrity, and professionalism, definitely is displayed out there by our officers every day. I think our department is a better place it has been in many years, at least in my experience here with the department. We continue to build trust and safety through collaboration with the residents and stakeholders. As we all know, during year 2024, towards the end of the year in October, our department underwent some transition in leadership. I want to assure you that during this transition, we never compromise your safety. We continue to enforce, to be out there and do our job. I think that part of our system was to revert back to basics, bring our departments to a position where we just go ahead and concentrate on our core job description, which is to patrol, protect, communicate with the residents, and respond to any emergencies you may have in the city. In October, it was through the transition, I stepped up as acting chief for the department. I was fortunate that shortly after that, Captain Avila was appointed as a captain for the police department, which came as a great breath of fresh air for us. He definitely helped through this whole transition and make sure that we encompass in a steady recovery path for the department. Some of the changes that we made too is immediately after he came in, we hired a full-time detective. There were several cases and investigations that were pending that were not being tended to within the city. And fortunately, Detective Eduardo Martinez was appointed. He brought with him almost 50 years of experience, and he was able to hit the ground running and tackle any of the cases that were pending and start resolving a lot of the issues that we had. So in terms of our enforcement trends for 2025, our uniform traffic citations, we are up to July. This is not including this month's stats. We up to about 2,475 traffic citations. So Traffic, that continues to be one of our main objectives. We hear our residents, they're concerned about traffic out there, and we continue to shift our focus on traffic. They're constantly going. I also see with that, you may see some of the arrests are going up. And I just want to assure you that this has nothing to do with internal with residents of the community. This has to do with the interaction that the officers have with individuals that are going through the city, and they're the results of these traffic citations and these traffic stops, okay? We continue to show watch orders, that those never, even though we're enforcing traffic, our officers continue to drive around the village to exit the vehicle, checked on the homes. I strongly have continued to advise the residents whenever they're going out of town to please let us know and inform the police department. And we have that service. They can do it through the GoGov app, or they can go ahead and come to the station at any time and request for an officer, and we can do it for them as well, or show them how to do it. Our calls for service, they seem a little bit down for about 451 to what it was in the previous years. I think this has to do with the compromise that the officers have out there on the road and the constant enforcement. So some of these numbers, like calls for service, will definitely go down when things like this happen. Overall, our enforcement productivity and arrest is about 146% higher. And this year, we already project at this point, we're about twice of the enforcement in almost every area of any of the previous. So this is a year that marks a history for the village to possibly be in the last 10, 15 years, a year where we have more production as a police department. In terms of the highlights of the budget, I'd like to move to this section. So overall budget is about 2% less than it was for 2025. Our personnel and training, we were able to accommodate and partnered up with some other agencies that had training for us that came at no cost. One of them was the county. And so we're able to send our officers at no cost to the village, and all this training can be done locally, which also will save us in trips and putting our officers outside of the village when we need them here best.
I'm sorry, Captain, what page are you in?
I'm in the second page on the number 4, the budget highlights. Yeah. For the repairs and maintenance, we went down. That number is very, very important, considerably, about 43%. As soon as we started in October, we were able to identify about 10 vehicles that were within our fleet that they just kept creating issues, and money kept being thrown out to keep these cars in service. So we identified those cars. We were able to deadline them and secure a company that does the auction, and these vehicles could have been sold, and these funds from that sale came back to the village. We're in the process to trying to find newer, better ways to manage our fleet. And hopefully soon we'll have more. I think we have 2 more vehicles coming into the department that are being bought through the sheriff's bid. And hopefully this will make our fleet, more manageable and having less issues. Also, the manpower involved in picking up these vehicles and arranging for cars to be taken and tow expenses, all those things were definitely an issue for the village. Go back to the education and training, as I mentioned before, we're partnering up with a lot of local agencies. There's infinite amount of training that is being done by neighboring agencies, in which our village does not have to spend any money on that. That also considerably brought out travel and per diem costs that in the past, as unfortunately, these funds were definitely not managed correctly. Professional services continue to be the same and the only shift that I could see considerably went up was the 5% for the increase on our salaries for the full timers. And this is related to the 5% that comes with the bargaining agreement. So there was going to be a shift there and that. Going into our objectives for 2025, 2026, we would like to continue the community engagement. We have asked the village manager, we wanted to launch a neighborhood resource officer and NRO program, and which is presented there in the budget for this new year. We would like to have a dedicated officer that will serve as a direct liaison with the residents. Its key functions will be to organize neighborhood watch programs, attend community meetings, knock door to door and residents in times of need so that we have natural disasters, proactive identified issues affecting quality of life before they escalate. And I think this is really going to be a benefit for our community. It's going to strengthen our trust, improve the communication, and empower our residents to be partners with public safety, right? And ensure a visible, approachable police presence in the village. We continue to move and guarantee. I think that one of the things, as I mentioned at the beginning of my presentation, is go back to the basics. Ensure that we have a minimal staffing. There should always be at least 2 officers on duty. And what I mean by that is making sure that we have 2 full-time officers or part-times. We cannot rely on our reserve staff just to do that. Those guys, their function is to, add to whatever services if we have a special event, but we cannot take those officers and ensure that we're going to use them to fill our day-to-day operation. It's not the right thing to do it. So the last thing, operationally, we're on track to basically bring everything that was not in compliance with FDLE and many of the other agencies that help us with the day-to-day operations. A lot of these issues have been identified since February this year. And I want to say over 90% of these things that are back in compliance. Our department is in good standing for this new year. Another thing that they may bring is the system that we currently use in free. It's called Tracks, and it's also utilized by many agencies in Miami-Dade County. Is managed by the state, and it's the one that we use to do currently all our crash reports and reports. Everything is done through there. So Tracks is now bringing a new feature in which our officers are able to do a CAD, which is basically it's a computerized aid dispatcher. And so they have all the stuff, they will have all the information that will merge through there. And this will give our village the opportunity to report all our crimes through fibers and NIBRs, which is the state and federal. So we'll be back on the map. This hasn't been done in the village. I believe Chief Avila will probably be upset. I remember that, I think it's 2020 since the last time that our village reported this to anyone. So we're not violating the law. We're not breaking the law by doing this, but I think this will give the opportunity to our village to be in the map and to show that we are very safe and that, that everyone here is safe. Last but not least, Power DMS. This is one of the big items in our system. We continue to keep it. I think that the ultimate goal will be that once everything is back to where it needs to be and we're able to, revert back to basics, we continue to use this system as a great communication tool for the officers to maintain our files, and also and sometime in the future to accomplish accreditation. And also it's a great tool to revise policies and to work on our departmental orders. So, closing message. In this last few months, our departments has restored any state or federal compliance, improve enforcement, visibility, and community engagement. I think that we have strengthened financial accountability and operational stability. I think this is a good budget. I actually work myself with Chief Avila, and I thank the manager for giving me the opportunity to have that input. And the three of us all work together, and especially with the integration of that detective in the daytime and the changes that we have in the admin for positions that were not really being used before. I trust that this budget is good to bring us back to where we need to be in compliance. And I look forward to the launching of the Neighborhood Resource Officer. I think this is something that our village needs. And just regaining the trust of all of our constituents and, everyone around us. And do you have any questions for me?
So, I think at this time, I'm just kind of, I guess, open it up to if anyone has any questions you want to discuss or address any of the items in the proposal with Paul or the manager. But it's certainly kind of free form open to the commission to go ahead and address any of the items that we just heard.
Mr. Mayor, before we do it, maybe just procedure so we know how we're handling this. Are we going to go
Sure.
line by line, or we just each commissioner ask their questions that they have? I'm comfortable with either. I just want us to all be on the same page so we're not duplicating efforts.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I,
Go ahead.
point of order. I hope I did that right. Point of order. I like to do like we did the point line by line for each item. For each
Okay.
item, there's only 3 departments, and I think that we'll be able to accomplish it going by line by line.
It's fine. I really don't have any real preference.
Yeah.
So we can do it that way. And, I think they're both necessarily kind of the same thing. If you go line by line, and you have questions about line items, then
Yeah.
we have the people here to answer them. So, so that's fine. So we can
So
open
then,
up
Mr.
to the
Mayor,
commission to begin
maybe
that. Sure.
a suggestion for procedure, maybe we ask any questions that pertain to the captain's presentation, and then after that, we'll go through line by line briefly.
That sounds good.
Okay. I'll go first for questions. Captain, I really like the NRO program. My question would be, is that going to be a dedicated officer who would not be pulling regular shifts, or would it be a shift officer who's an added responsibility on top of their normal duties as a shift?
As you know, we have a small staff. Our goal is to have that officer dedicated and manage that program, but should the need arise for him to perform other duties, that person should be able to help assist with emergency coverages and things like that. I think that at any time that the officer's out on the field, would give him the opportunity. You never stop being an NRO once you're out there. So
My other question with that program is, have we looked into the collective bargaining agreement? Is there a plus item for an NRO officer?
no,
I'm sorry, what was the question? I
Is
didn't,
there, for an NRO officer, neighborhood resource officer, would there be a plus item of, a lot of times with departments, if you have an added responsibility, there's a 1%, 2% bump, something like that. If you have an added responsibility to your job description, you get I just wonder if we reach out to the union and their opinion on this program.
I'm not aware when we check the agreement, but I definitely have to get back to you on that. We'd like to do a little bit more research.
so this is part of the so this position exists in the bargaining agreement that we have? Is that how it works? Oh, if,
We don't.
If
Right.
no, not that I did not
Okay.
see that position in there, but as the duties will change, then we'll probably do a little bit more research and ask him before that is integrated into our staff. Mhm.
Oh, my last question is I see the task force assignment. Have we identified an officer who's going to be placed into a task force yet?
Yes, it's a lengthy process to identify someone. You always want to make this officers kind of runs independently from the village, and we want to make sure that we have the right individual for it. I know the chief is currently working on that, but definitely we want to bring somebody over as soon as possible. I don't know who he has in mind, but hopefully it happens soon, because I think that is a good program. Small villages like ours can definitely benefit from having a person in one of these task forces.
I completely agree. I think it's a vital program, and I hope we get back into it soon.
If managed correctly, but yes, it is.
That's all my questions.
I don't have any questions on the presentation. I'll have some questions when we go through the actual budget, but I just want to thank you. I was very impressed. This was a runaway department for a long time, and the fact that we're controlling it now better, I think is a reflection of the leadership on your department and also the leadership that we have now at the management level. So I think that this is great for the community and for everybody. So thank you for that.
Thank you, sir. We have support from day one. I've had all their support to make this transition, and I'm confident that we're definitely in good hands and we're going to continue to move forward in the right direction.
And I only have a couple questions.
Yes.
Could you talk more about the police department, the staff? I mean, you gave us a good graph here that
Mhm.
explains each of the, who's in charge of the staff, but I'd like to know how many reserve officers we're gonna have and so on.
So we currently we have about 14 reserve officers is that we have in staff. And then we are fully staffed now as a department, which we weren't for a while in the previous administrations. So we have an officer that was hired. He's currently undergoing the field training officer program, and he's about to start within the next, I would say, 45 days. So we'll go ahead and be. We haven't lost or hired anybody else in the process because, as I mentioned, we wanted to get a grip of fix all the problems, every area and every aspect of operations needed to be repaired before we're able to bring anybody into here. I think that, we're there. Almost there. The person that we hire, it just needed to happen because we had that 40-hour position that was open and the manager worked with us to get it in there. But from here on, I think it's important that we get all our ducks in a row and everything is fixed operationally before we're able to bring more people, whether it is reserves or full-time or part-time officers.
Okay, my other questions would be when we do the budget. Okay.
Mhm.
Again, thank you for
No
the
problem, sir.
presentations. Good.
Awesome. Thank you. So I think I'll start first saying, yes, this is like day 9. I appreciate so much having context, prior just to looking at Excel, which is what we've been doing. So I think that's huge. And I'm very thankful for the effort behind that. I would appreciate the procedures be met. We have to receive this in an agenda, which I didn't. I don't know if I was the only one, didn't get the agenda. But it's good to get these presentations in advance so that we can make notes. So I just got it yesterday. So probably we're going to talk more about the detail on the Excel, but on the presentation itself, I think it's wonderful. So specific on page 2, there is traffic arrest, which actually caught my eye, 12 to 163rd, 163, sorry. What constitutes a traffic arrest? Because it's an impressive number.
Yes, so that comes from a traffic arrest constitutes any violation when one of these officers engage in a traffic stop. Any violations that sometimes, remember, we don't have to physically take the individual to TGK, which is our local holding facility, but just by the person being presented with a criminal citation is considered an arrest. This could be generated from a suspended driver license or.
Also, if you stop someone and they had a suspended
license
that constitutes.
The officer has the discretion to either arrest and transport this individual to jail, or because it is in certain traffic situations, we have the discretion to go ahead and remove the vehicle to make sure that person is not operating that vehicle, which most of the time does not have insurance or registration. It could be detrimental for the community. We remove the vehicle, it gets towed, and the person is able to walk away with a criminal citation, which is making a promise that will show up in court and fight this in court. So that is considered an arrest. And those are the ones that are made in there. Now, we're not trying to take every single person, and a lot of our officers definitely exercise the discretion with doing this enforcement. We don't want to hurt the community. We want to educate the community.
Yeah. And that's where I think, it was a sensitive question,
Yes,
obviously,
ma'am.
because that means on how is this being approached from 12 before to 163.
Another thing that is important
Yeah.
to explain here is the fact that, also when we have these arrests, typically unless there are more issues found, more crimes, or there's an arrest warrant, if we take a person to the local facility, it's about a 45-minute ride from here, an hour wait time sometimes if we're lucky, and then another hour back depending on the traffic hour. So we had to be, we had to be a little bit sensitive as to how we do that. So
Yeah.
typically the officers do ahead and issue a criminal citation. It goes in a base by base, and then it's up to the officer. That's their discretion.
Got it.
Mhm.
Okay. And you mentioned about the watch orders, which I think are fantastic. Go Gabi and the place to do it at the website as well, right?
It's being
Yeah.
used a lot. And, we hope to see more, and we'll continue to educate. I've had a lot of officers that kind of feel the pride that they're able to now, we know about the system, and we're able to educate our residents. So a lot of us are going, and people sometimes they come and they do it at our station from the GoGov, which is, listen, we want the members of the community to come and see us and to know that we can help them at the station. Our station is open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5.
To help them, and that's great.
Yes.
My question was specific as to where can I record a watch order? So I know GoGov has the alternative, but on the website itself, there's a section that says you
Yes,
can do it.
yes.
I just want to make sure that if I don't have the app and I go online, there is a section that still counts. You're receiving that.
Absolutely. You could do it through the Village of Biscayne Park, .gov website.
Yeah.
You can do it to GoGov, or you can do it over the phone. Or you
Yes.
can come to the station and do it. And so, yes, those 4 ways that you can do a watch order.
This was answered. And then I had a question, I think on the NRL. Oh, police department budget variance percentage of comparison, FY 2025. Which one is 143 says communication? Is that because of the position you're asking? Is that what you're assigning it to? There is a 143% of increase. It's code 41, so maybe you need to see it with the Excel, but I was wondering, because that's where your graph states 143.
I would like to say.
And what's that for? What are you guys asking for more money for communication? What's that addressing? You can, I would recommend that you use the mic so that that question can be.
Looks like Paul might be talking, but I'm not entirely certain.
Yeah, he's about to get the mic.
Thank you. Is that better?
There.
Sorry about that.
There you go.
So communications line, this has to do with what you adopted in 2025. You were under the impression you'd be able to eliminate your AT&T mobile hotspots and
Okay,
use the
it's
helium
mobile.
phones.
Yeah.
Yes, we talked about it. And
Yeah.
removing those phones turned out to not be effective for the police, so they reinstated the AT&T. So you're basically going back to where you would have been normally. So,
Got it.
and it's going from 6,000 to 15,000 is 143%.
Yeah, we
Seems like a
talked
lot,
about
but
it.
it's,
I just didn't know how to address that on that graph, but I remember we discussed
yeah,
that.
graphs are tricky like that, aren't they? They can.
All right, awesome. And then in training, the education and training, I know it was decreased. Also, your staff has changed, so the structure overall, there's ways of making more efficient with online training. I mean, there's a lot of that you speak about why that's going down. You know, I was talking during our conversation about the program for assisting, those in needs. I'm just wondering if that requires any additional training that we're not capturing. And that may, you know, since it's a decrease year over year, I just want to be fair with that. I want to make sure that we have all the available training possible for the staff that we change in structural, you know, completely. This is the time to do it.
Can hear you, Captain. Sorry.
We were fortunate enough that we've been able to partner through relationships that our new chief has with many of the other agencies, including the FDLE. We're actually in conversations with them, and there are many resources at a state level that will come at no cost to the village in many different areas. One of them being for residents with special needs, and so we've already reached out. There's a process and there's a wait period for it, but there's many things out there, and I trust that we'll be able to make those connections and hopefully bring all this training to the village at no cost.
Okay. All right. And then,
Commissioner, before you move on from that, just touch on that as well. If you look at their presentation, they talk about applying for no-cost grants. And
which page?
it's towards the back there, their objectives for 2026. And I know in speaking with Chief Alvila, he has the intention to apply for any grants he can for those kind of trainings. And I know the Department of Justice offers quite a few training grants that are no cost to the village. So I'm guessing that's what he's referring to when he says.
So I think it would be wonderful to know what trainings we've always had and what are aimed to have. I would love for us to check that we are doing those relationships, you know, connecting with the appropriate departments and reaching to do this at zero cost as you propose. But since we are not going to be tracking ourselves with money attached to it, I think it would be great if you can come forward and say, these are the trainings we normally would get. And this is what we're aiming to do. And those are going to be at zero cost. You know, hopefully those connections happen and then we achieve them. But then there is a goal for us to follow through. And I think if it doesn't happen because there is a waiting list of 3 years, to your point, then we need a budget for next year if we find that's important.
Absolutely.
So I think I would just ask that list that you have and give us visibility as what are those key trainings we will look to get, you know, with those connections into your goals. But I think it's wonderful. And the fact that we can do it at zero cost is.
Yeah,
even
we'll
better.
do.
Of
We'll
course.
definitely, we'll keep you informed.
All right. And then community interagency partnerships. So increased collaboration with code enforcement. So all of these things are great. And then at the end, maintain strong coordination with Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office and emergency management for preparedness and response. These are things that weren't happening or that.
Well, no. As a matter of fact, in the last, I think, 3 months, we've actually met about 3 times with the entire commanding staff for Intracoastal. The captain, lieutenants, sergeants came here, and they're definitely making a much strong approach. They actually were willing to come to our community, knock door, and make sure that people understand what the transition of the county was. And we are now at we have their cell phone numbers. So if we ever encounter and they really offer all the assistance from the county, and it's big for us being a smaller community, a smaller police department. And it already was put to the test. It was nothing major, but it was good to know that we can pick up the phone and call somebody and get assistance from the county. So we're really thankful for that. Yes. And I'd never seen it happen before. At least in my tenure here for the last 7 years, it never happened.
Then that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Thank you. On the last page, I believe it is. Yeah. Or no. The last. Doesn't matter. When you talk about facility security upgrades, install access CCTV proposals received for PD and Public Works, are those proposals already in the budget?
Mr. Manager, were you? No. Are we still, So some of the stuff that we already accomplished from the last year, 2024, 2025, which is our access control internally, there's still a few things that we need to identify in terms of the CCTV cameras, but it shouldn't be something too large.
So you
that needs to
still
be done.
have some money maybe from this budget to finish that portion, right?
Correct, yeah, it's
Okay.
the biggest part, which I think is the most costly was our access control, and that has all been already accomplished for the village hall and our PD station.
Okay. Um, Traffic radars, recalibrate or expire units. I was trying to understand what that mean. What does that mean?
So our officers have handheld devices which they use to measure the speed on vehicles. So some of those require at some point to be recalibrated or replaced. So those are the.
Got it. But that's not a cost item. It's sort of, it's not really, we don't need to allocate budget for additionals or anything. We have the
No,
amount of
currently we have
readers.
all the necessary equipment within our staff.
And do you prevent, or is there a budget for, how do you say, maintenance of any of this equipment?
It's
Yeah,
part of our
it's part of the
operation, it's
maintenance.
part of our operational costs, and they get recalibrated and service I believe it's every 6 to 7 months they have that service.
Got it.
They're very good equipment too, that lasts very long.
The NRO, is that an existing job description? Do you have a job description for this?
No,
position?
that description will be created. Part of that, so when we spoke to the county, the specialized, and they offer to have our officer, when selected, to ride with them and go through their NR, again, another training that comes at no cost to the village. They will go ahead and take our guy under their wing and make sure that he's up to speed with the entire NRO.
And I think my question came in similar, or echoing Commissioner Huntington in terms of what the role of this officer is. So understanding that you're going to hire for the position that you're asking for, what the role is going to be, how much percentage of the time is going to be assigned for this role versus, another, maybe as extra help from officers that might need, I think it's a good way to present for approval in any department that might want, full-time employee. You need
Absolutely.
to have a very clear understanding of what they're going to do. So I would ask for that to see, prior for approving the position. I think it's an amazing opportunity. I think we need it. Historically, we need it. I think it's a lot of, the Q&A sort of round that I was asking from the PD department with the residents. I mean, this is part of what can be achieved if you had someone connecting all the time. But I would just ask for that.
If you ask me about the percentage that we want, we will always shoot for 100%. We
Yeah.
want this person to dedicate entirely to the community, but
Okay.
again, because being a smaller department, sometimes the needs may come where they might be utilized in different areas, but never losing their, once you're out there on the field, you never lose the opportunity to engage with the community, so.
Okay.
Mhm.
Let me see then, fleet management optimization. So is this, to be, so it's to happen. This is something that's going to be coordinated for the next fiscal, right? It says in coordination with the village manager, explore replacing the current fleet program with a more cost-effective alternative, including possible participation in the sheriff's bid program for future vehicles.
Yes.
So how far are we from that optimized fleet to happen? I guess.
Well, I tell you what, we're a much better place than
Yeah.
we were in the past, considering that, 10 of our vehicles were costing the village an immense amount of money, and those cars were identified, are no longer ours. The service also, safety-wise, they weren't safe for our officers to
Yeah.
drive out there. In terms of giving you a percentage of how I think that just the fact that we were able to identify the issues, get rid of the older vehicles, and there we're about, I want to say 50, 60% since we're able to identify the problems and move forward. But I think that this year will definitely get us there. We still have some work to do,
Yeah.
but with the help of the village manager, I trust 100% that we can get there.
Great. And then the next one, best practices implementation. You know, I have to ask you about SOPs and what that means. You know, I love that. Those are
Yes, so if you ask me just like you, and I think that I'm speaking for Chief Avila, the departmental orders
Yeah.
is one of the number one things, and we talk about the numbers and the things that we want to accomplish, but just like you said before, these things needs to be in writing, and everyone needs to understand what the job descriptions and the direction that we're going to go before we get there. And so before a lot of these things we continue to work on,
Yeah.
one of the number one things we want to achieve is to get our departmental orders where it need to be. So it's number one priority, probably, and should have been mentioned more in my presentation. I apologize.
I love that you did that. I appreciate you. That's it for now. Thank you so
No
much.
problem. Thank you very much.
Well, not off the hook yet, Captain.
So are we gonna go line by line or
Well,
what's next?
can you all hear me?
Yes, Mayor, we hear you.
Okay, Captain, I had a couple of questions for you really quickly. Is he still up there? I can't see him.
I'm here, Mr. Mayor. Go ahead.
Gotcha. So I, admittedly, I'm probably not going to be around long enough to go line by line with everyone. So I want to just kind of generalize my questions for you, Captain. And before I forget, the manager and I talked about this before today's meeting, that these presentations, I think Commissioner Amso, I think you mentioned this is like a night and day difference, and it's really nice to see this information presented in such a comprehensive, kind of significant way that we've never seen it before. So I appreciate these efforts that all of our department heads and Captain and of course our chief have put forward, and especially the manager and Paul. It's already shaped up to be better than I was expecting. So with that said, I just got a couple of questions for you, Captain, because again, I don't know that I'm going to be around as we go line by line. But I wanted to start very quickly with a couple of things that Commissioner Amso had mentioned. You talked briefly about the improvements, improvements to surveillance CCTV, and that there's some budget remaining for this upcoming fiscal to continue to upgrade that equipment. Am I kind of summarizing that correctly?
Yes. So we have I think one of the things that came out of the major cost for the department was definitely our key car access.
Right.
And that has already been completed. The entire, both the village hall and the police department have been equipped with that, including our sensitive areas such as a vault and evidence room. So the last portion of that will be modernizing a little bit of our CCTV system and making it a little bit more operational. And that's what we're in the process of accomplishing.
And can I ask you very quickly, just with respect to the CCTV specifically, because I'm pretty recently a resident come up to me and said that she had heard that there were some issues with quality of some of the cameras that we have. So this is kind of focusing on that issue head on. And is it the intention or the understanding or your understanding that the CCTV is looking to be improved at Village Hall, at the police department, at the rec center? Is there any one location specific, or is it more we're going to see what we can get for the amount of money we have and then distribute it from there? I just want to understand how you foresee that happening.
So, give me 1 second, I think.
Sure.
So, Mr. Mayor, I think the priority is the log cabin. To fix the log cabin. So that's our priority, and that's where the captain's been assisting us in getting estimates on just what that's going to cost. We went back and we looked in 2019, we spent $13,000 to upgrade the log cabin. But that $13,000 really didn't fix everything. So I think you would be in agreement to say that we need a major overhaul in the log cabin, and we need to bring it up to modern day standards, and that's what we're looking to do. So
Well,
hopefully hopefully before the first reading, we'll have an estimate to how much is that going to cost and whether we can take it out of capital improvement projects fund or somewhere else. We'll be looking at. We'll find some money for it.
Got it. Well, if that includes fixing the microphones and maybe some of these cameras so I can see more than just a little bit, that I would certainly agree with that. Okay, great. There was one other question that Commissioner Amsbury brought up. I wanted to follow up on, Captain. I was talking about, I guess, the liaison with the Miami Sheriff's Office and the emergency response. I recall one time last summer where we had, I think, 100-year rain event. And we were trying to, this kind of goes to what you were talking about in understanding and being in connection with the right people for emergency response, because at the time, apparently it was unknown which emergency response center responded to our municipality. And then on top of that, there was no real information or clarity on who we needed to speak with to secure things like PPE equipment and flood response, emergency response items. So I'm curious because, we are at the height of hurricane season now. Is what you were talking about the Miami Sheriff's Office, is this part of it, that you now have a better connection with the Sheriff's Office so we can get a faster emergency response if we get into a flood scenario?
Absolutely. So I think one of the main focuses when the manager came in, he definitely was a concern that we didn't know who were these providers and who was the connection. So I quickly reached out to the county. I have not only a name, last name and last name, but also cell phone. We're constantly in communication. He has actually provided me training. Our main the city, the entity that manages our emergencies at this point is North Miami. And so
Right.
I have been in there and their facilities. I've met with their facility supervisors, and I've underwent training with them in terms of managing emergencies. We're now in the second phase of the training where I'm going to be having access to the portal and be able to better communicate with them. But that relationship have been established 100%.
Good to know. That portal was kind of a key issue that we'd had during that rain event, where there was no way to get access to the portal. No one knew how to do it. So I'm glad to hear that that's
I'm
hopefully
fully
resolved.
aware because I was here at the time.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
it's definitely, yeah, I'm in the process of learning how to communicate through the portal. I even had the opportunity to be invited to their main communication centers in Doral. And so it's a work in progress. It's definitely, as a complex system that they use. But we already have we already reach out and we have a line of communication with them.
Okay, I appreciate that. I'm going to go quickly, so I apologize. I wanted you to talk very quickly with me, if you could, about the off-duty employment policy that's been implemented. If this is the correct policy, if I'm remembering correctly, what would, I'm summarizing or paraphrasing rather, that previously when our officers were doing off-duty, typically what happens is the municipality has like a surcharge where the municipality collects revenue or some fee for loaning those officers out. And my recollection is that this wasn't really being done. Is that what this this bullet point is addressing, the off-duty employment policy being implemented?
Yes, sir. So as someone that was here for 7 years, there was no policy, there was no rules that were being followed. There was not much that was being done in terms of off-duty. Other than the resources were being used, the vehicles were being used from the village. Some of the people were using, different vehicles, and definitely the fees were not being paid to the village. We were able to put a stop to that. A policy has been created that everyone has been following, and basically the officers know that every jobs that they work, they will be paying a $5 of every hour worked that goes to the village in return for using the village vehicles or any other resources that are provided from here. That has
Okay.
already been established and it's been working at least for the past 60 days.
Okay, good to hear. I appreciate that. I have two more questions for you, I promise. um, I noticed that one of I don't know if there was a reduction. Give me 1 second. Let me just scroll up to it. There we go. One of the reductions, it was a reduction of about $27,000. Operating supplies. Is this? Would I be correct in saying operating supplies? This is where some of the equipment falls under, so like the police equipment.
Is this on the presentation that you're looking at, or?
Yeah.
like oh, okay.
Well, I'm just looking at the high level, the overview, the financial overview. Operating supplies is line item, well, the category 52.
Yeah, Mayor, we'll go ahead and answer that. Before we do, the finance director just wanted to make a comment about our off-duty and how we're capturing those surcharges.
Okay.
Yes, in your financials for last month that were circulated, I think you got them today. In addition to the CIP having its own separate fund, we added a fund for police off-duty, which shows the revenue and the expenses, and the balance is the profit, for lack of a better term. So we'll track it meticulously that way, and you'll be able to monitor the revenue, and then the commission and manager make a decision how to use that revenue, separate of any other revenues. Thanks.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Right, so you're asking about, is it
Operating
line item
supplies?
48?
I think it was 52.
52?
Yeah,
52.
operating supplies.
Drop in fuel.
Yes, so there was a drop in fuel.
Okay.
So that's one of the savings that we had. And the non-lethal equipment, we're not doing that anymore.
So, okay,
There's
so
savings in that.
got it. And that's the point that I wanted to ask about. This is just based on my recollection from last year's budget. The department at the time had represented to the commission that we were we were undersupplied, that we didn't have everything that we needed to effectively respond to certain situations. And one of the this was obviously going back a year, very early on. One of the largest increases that we were seeing in the request from the police department was for operating supplies. It was first aid. It was non-lethal. There was the boat. I think that was one of them, the flat bottom boat. And so that just struck me. Obviously, we have a different leadership in right now. Things have changed, and I understand all that. But I just wanted to ask the captain, from your perspective, Captain, that presentation last year struck me as a little concerning, that our police department doesn't have the supplies necessary to respond to certain scenarios. And that's why there was a huge request in additional equipment. So now I'm seeing, a reduction in that line item. So I'm just wondering if you can just give me a kind of high level overview of your understanding of that issue.
Sir, I think that that may be tied to a little bit of poor decision making in terms of purchasing things that were not necessary for the staff. This went up to, we had a purchase of shotguns and for non-lethal that were not necessary and not operationally the right decision for our department. There are many other things that we can integrate that will become at a much lower cost, and that will keep also the officers safe and give them better opportunities to do that are not having a shotgun with non-lethal ammunition. So we were able to identify these issues. Since then, this was returned to, we were fortunate enough that we have a relationship with the vendor, and then we returned to them. And I think this funds can be better allocated in other areas.
Okay. So I appreciate that. I just, it was important to me, understanding where, it was being represented to us, where we were at from a supply perspective last year to where we are now.
Mr. Mayor, if I may say too, instead, actually, we were able to secure a new contract with Axon, which is our tasers, and for officers to have new equipment in this part included in the budget as well. And that is a better way for them to respond and is safer for the officers that are there on the field. So, it's just better allocation and using the funds better that makes these differences in the budget.
I understand. Okay, I had a feeling that was probably going to be the answer, but I just wanted to hear it from your perspective, so I appreciate that. Last question for me, and then we'll start with the line by line. But accreditation, obviously I understand that things have changed. That we're working on implementing a plan this year that's going to put us in the best position to start that and succeed. But the remaining money that's left in that line item for accreditation, I think it's 8,500. Is that just for the software, or just if you could just kind of explain to me? Obviously, I know we're revamping our process for accreditation, so I just want to know: is that just for the software, or is it for anything else that you need for that process?
Yes, that is correct. Although, we felt that we still needed to keep that, the Power DMS. I think there's a great tool for us to accomplish what is so important, which is our working out departmental orders. That system will give us the opportunity to be able to rewrite and inform the staff about every changes we're experiencing through our departmental orders and keep everybody in the same page. And so we feel that is a necessary tool for that process, and it should stay if possible.
Understood. Okay, I just wanted to understand what because I know the plan is changing. I just wanted to understand, make sure I understood what the remaining money was for. So, Captain, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you stepping in here and helping us walk through and giving us the presentation, giving us an opportunity to ask some high-level questions. So for the rest of the commission right now, I'm a couple minutes late to my meeting, so I'm going to have to log off now. So I apologize. I'm going to miss the line by line, but I'll catch up in time for our next week's meeting. But certainly enjoy, and I'm looking forward to watching the other presentations from the other departments for tonight.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
All right, everyone,
Appreciate
listen, I appreciate the time. Thanks so much for everyone's hard work. I'm going to go ahead and log off. I'll catch up before next week, and have a good evening, everyone, and it's good seeing you all.
Bye, thanks.
All right, Vice Mayor, if I could, we have allocated about 80 minutes for each department. So we got about another 20 minutes or so, or less than 20 minutes. But we'll be happy to go over line by line. Some of them are just our basic workman's comp. Those are set. But we're here to answer any questions you may have.
I think if we do each page, if anybody has an item that because a lot of it is self-explanatory, I think that'll make it much faster. So let's start at page 2 of 24. Commissioner, would you start us off?
Vice Mayor, if I will, can we go by the object code? So that would be object code 12. You'd see it's on the first line.
Yes, definitely.
I think that's what we traditionally do, object codes, and it just would be more clear.
Definitely. Thank you.
I have no questions for object code 12.
Commissioner?
Well, I have a silly question. There's a line item here for an assistant chief, and in the work chart, we don't have an assistant chief.
Yes.
So I'm just curious why do we have that in there?
Captain?
Well, I'm sure
The term assistant, acting, and chief and captain were developmental while the budget was being drafted. So the report, this copy has the correct terms for it. The budget will be updated.
Okay, so where's that money going to go?
It's the same money. There's no new money difference. The budget has the right amount of funds. It's the actual budget lines and the worksheets were done 2 or 3 weeks ago, whereas this was done recently and has new references. So we'll get it updated. But
What will that reference be if not assistant chief?
so it's just a captain. So
There's going to be 2 captains or 1 captain?
I believe there's 2.
There's only 1 on the work.
There's only 1. It'll only be 1.
So that assistant chief position will be part of the task force. That's where that position will be.
So it's going to task force.
Yes.
Okay. Got it. All right.
Mine was on the same line. I think that's what we spoke when we had our meeting. It was just to clean up what current positions we have to what future positions we're going to have. So it's sort of apples to apples, easy to identify. On the chief, so salary is 115?
Well, that's what is budgeted. We haven't negotiated that salary yet, Commissioner.
So are you saying, so we're approving this, but it's pending negotiation?
Yes, it's pending negotiation, not to exceed 115.
Okay, all right, that's what I was going
Yes.
for. Perfect. And so the rest, it was just that to clean it up and so it shows. That's it. Oh, sorry, one last one. Vanessa, so I think she's the assistant to the department, right? The question, the
Yes,
clerk.
Yes.
My question
Yes.
was about the percentage, whether she's 100% allocated for the police department or she's sharing with any other department.
She's 100%.
Okay, perfect.
The only question I have, and I met with the city manager about this, but you can explain the difference between the 737,965 to 241,000. You already explained it, but I wanted the public to understand why there's a big gap difference.
Yeah, it's just broken up to different positions that we didn't do the prior year, Commissioner. And then also some of those employees left that were making higher salaries and left, and now they're at a different rate. So that's all it is.
Yeah, that's the only, any other commissioner has any other question? Good. Okay, let's go to 13,000. Questions?
No.
Questions, object code 13.
1,400, 14,000. Any questions?
Nope.
Event support. I don't remember that being there last year. Maybe I'm wrong. It's historic? Okay, that's fine. So just clean it up maybe. That's fine.
15,000. Any questions?
What code?
1,500.
15.
15.
15. Okay, here's 15.
Thank you.
Thank you. 15, any questions on it?
No.
Okay. 21. 22. Okay. 2.
No.
23. 24.
No.
31.
What falls under professional services? So it's what's the Loxia technology? What does it do?
Yeah, that's software services support, IT services. They have a separate IT support services than the City Hall.
And so we're over that in this year fiscal. What expense put us over here?
Well, we'll have to look into that, Commissioner. We'll get that
Okay.
back to you on that.
Yeah, I was just wondering if it was the cameras or the access, it doesn't have to do with that, right? When you say information technology, it's just assistant. It's a monthly expense. I was just trying to understand that. And licenses and permitting, that's just computer access, Microsoft systems, right? So I'll just ask that question, if you can clarify it at some point. That's it.
I'll just say, I'll just add one more thing, just for general knowledge here. This is the first year that I've actually gone through a budget where I've seen a lot of flat numbers. Usually you see a bump in everything. And this year I'm seeing a lot of just the same number from one year to the next. And that, to me, that's, it's while it's wonderful, I don't know, to me, if that's honestly realistic. I'm just seeing a lot of, like, if you'll see it, it'll in a lot of the other budget, you'll just see the same number from 24 to 25. And this is the first year I think that I've seen that transpire. So just so you guys keep that in the back of your mind.
So, Commissioner, can I address that? So what we do is we go back and look at what our expenses were for the previous year, and to see if we were over budget, under budget, and if that was a realistic number from last year, and if it wasn't, we lowered it. And so if say we on travel, if we were budgeted $50,000 on travel and we only use 15,000, we're not going to budget again $50,000. We may lower it to 20,000.
I'm
So
with you.
that's how.
I hope that we continue that trend. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you. 40. Any questions on number 40?
No.
On 41, communications. Any questions?
Yeah, on the AT&T, I know that we're switching because of service. Is this just police, right?
Just police, yeah.
Yeah. And this is because of the service being so bad. We went from 3,000. We need
Yes.
to do this. There is
Yes.
no.
Yes.
Do you get bids for this, or like why AT&T and not T-Mobile? I'm just making this up. I have no idea how that works.
Well, AT&T was the company we had used before, and we were very satisfied with them. And that's why we,
Okay, but I'm saying, is there, do you do the process of trying to figure out, or
I
we're,
think, yeah, the police
Okay.
department, yeah, looks for the best price one.
okay?
Any more questions on 41? Thank you. On 43, utilities. Any questions?
No.
On 44, rentals and leases. Any questions?
So yeah, here is this also your car, for example, Mr. Manager, is this here? Is this just police? Is
Yes,
it code?
I think my car is in there. We'll have to transfer that over before the second budget hearing. I mean, the second workshop, we'll transfer that to administration.
Got it. And then code, nothing code here?
Oh, no, nothing
Okay,
code.
so this is just, would be that transfer of yours and the rest is just police?
Yes.
And that would be which one on the 44?
I'm not sure, Commissioner. I'll have to double check which one it is.
Because I'm thinking that could bring you almost even if you do. Because right now you have an increase. All right,
I have one question, just as for the manager, maybe just leases in general. Could you speak a little bit about what your future plans would be with leases? Are we going to continue with these, or as they sunset, are we going to start going towards a new plan? I've received many questions, emails from residents about high value leases, and I think it's maybe just address it so everyone.
Yeah, I don't know if this was detailed as in the previous budgets, because I also saw those emails. But as you can see, some of these leases are 1,000 a month. I was taken back by the amount of these leases. Unfortunately, we can't get out of the leases, so we're trying to, slowly integrate our fleet to a fleet that we own instead of we're leasing. So we're purchasing 2 cars this year. We hope to, out of this budget, 25, 26, 26, 27, we hope to purchase 2 more cars. So within 5 years, we'll have a fully a fleet that we own, and we won't be leasing. So that's our goal.
What about the car? Sorry, any more questions? Sorry. What about the cars that we got for donations? Is that in the budget?
Those cars that we got donations from, those are the ones we sold because they had 150,000 miles on them, and they were breaking down every 4 or 5 blocks. So, that's, and the cost to repair them exceeded the Blue Book value of those cars. So we went ahead and sold them.
Commissioner, also they were donated to us. We own them, so there wouldn't be a cost for those vehicles.
Okay, my only question about that, and it's really not a complaint or anything, but did the people that donated to us know that we were going to get rid of their cars?
Well, I don't think there was any restriction when they gave it to us
I can
that,
address that as
yeah.
well. Those were surplus vehicles from other police departments. And then my understanding is when they were first acquired by the village, the intent was to cannibalize them and use certain parts of them in the existing fleet. But most of those vehicles, I believe some of them came from PBSO, if I remember correctly. Some of them came from the Miccosukee Police Department. They were not pursuit rated. They were not something a police officer should be driving on the streets.
Okay, good. That answers that question. Thank you. Okay, any more questions for that? Okay.
No.
Move over to 45, property and liability insurance. Any questions? Thank you. 46, any questions?
No.
Thank you. 47, printing and binding. Any questions? Thank you. 49, I'm glad to see that we don't have any contingency in there. We always, any questions? I jumped the gun. I'm sorry. Any questions first? I want to give the commissioners,
Object code 49?
yeah, 49. Any questions?
No.
Didn't we always have money in the contingency for the police department? And that just caught me by surprise that we have none zero this time, which is, no. That's not a complaint, that's a compliment. Okay, 52, operating supplies, Commissioner?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So 52 fuel, I know historically, we get all our fuel from North Miami's fuel depot, and they've had problems in the past with not billing us. And it looks like I don't think we spent just $6,000 in fuel this year. Do we know what that number is? I know.
Yes, we received the bill this month, and we analyzed it and put in a new number. The 80,000 should be more than sufficient.
What was historically, Paul, in the previous years? Do
It
you
was
know
closer to the $90,000.
Okay. Is
Come down.
the change on fleet will have an impact as well on the fuel, right?
Yeah, so that's why you see the decrease, Commissioner. So we already had estimated what our monthly expenses are now, and then prorated that for 12 months. So we figured, what the new budget decrease would be.
And then similar to the question that the mayor asked, I was wondering what is very clear to me on operating supplies on the top where you have uniforms, fuel, weapons, but I didn't know what non-lethal equipment discretionary was. So what are the things? I know it's very nominal with 2,500.
Yeah, and just to follow up, Commissioner, I've got an answer for the AT&T has a special police emergency management special coverage
Got it.
for police that give priority to police during an emergency. That's why we're using AT&T.
Got it.
And the chief explained that to us about
Yeah.
the non-discretionary, that every officer is required 2 options for non-discretionary, or excuse me, for non-lethal use of force. So they have obviously lethal force, but they need 2 other options. So the discretionary non-lethal were the shotguns that he mentioned, things way past what is required. And the chief's direction was, we don't need that. It's a waste of money, et cetera, et cetera. And the officers already have to have
Automatically.
2. They want a 3rd one. Like it was absurd, to put
Got
it
it.
in his words,
So
for him.
So you don't need that, you're saying?
Yeah, and Commissioner, with those shotguns, we received them, we were put in a storage cabinet, and they sat there for 6 months or so, and nobody was trained on them. So everybody had to be trained on usage of that.
Yeah.
And there was no follow-up or anything. So that's why we gave them back, or we were lucky, as the captain said, that we were able to get our money back from our contact at the supply company.
So
If I may, those non-lethal shotguns that usually fire either what's called a
Bean
rubber
bags.
baton or a beanbag are specific purpose. They're usually used for riot control. They're used for crowd control and things of that nature. They're not something that a patrol officer
In
would normally
Village of
want
Biscayne
to
Park.
use in the normal,
Halloween thing coming up.
well, maybe the kids enjoy that, but I doubt it.
We're inventing a new
That would
sport.
normally be used in a normal road patrol function where somebody's affecting an arrest. Lethal force is not justified based on the type of resistance they're getting. It's usually a taser or something, and that, yeah, a pepper spray, a taser, not a shotgun.
So what's included for the 2,500 here? What are you thinking?
2,500?
Yeah. So what was that buy-in and the non-lethal?
Yeah, pepper spray.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so that was a catch-all pepper spray or anything. No.
And it has a much less possibility of causing harm.
Right. So as a village attorney is saying, he used to work for City of Fort Lauderdale, and you recall they used those non-lethal shotguns, I think, during a riot, and you got sued for those, right?
That's not exactly why they got sued.
Why?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
There are agencies that use the beanbag shotguns, but they're generally, as I said, they're not used by general road patrol.
Right.
So what are we doing with those things if we have them?
We gave them back. We were able to get a refund, our connection at the supply company. The chief had a connection there, and we were able to get our 100% refund, I think.
Perfect. Thank you.
I still have one more question for fuel. I asked it last year. I just want to make sure we have clarity that all fuel, public works, code,
All go
everything,
through there.
all goes through here. So
Correct.
if we see fuel anywhere else in the budget, it should just be here,
It
right?
should be a 0 and this would cover it. Yep.
And I think this,
It's a good point. And that's because, so even the code and, code, vehicles, everything goes here.
Right. Those are.
but here,
Yeah, so there's a little bit of cleanup now that we have the bill. We know what's actually being charged there. So by first reading, you'll see the departments that are not being charged fuel will go to 0. And it'll
Which
remain
department
here.
Not being charged.
Public Works and Code, they fuel their vehicles there.
Okay, so you're saying right now we'll see it in both.
A little bit of savings in those other departments.
Then the cleanup will happen and you're using to show them here for why? Is that a reason why?
Good question. Historically, there was a day when this previous commission and previous staff wanted it all in one place. It would go to North Miami, they could track it. There was a time when people were buying their own gas and getting reimbursed, and it was hurting cats. So this is a cleaner, more efficient way to track the fuel, but putting it in separate departments was labor intensive and didn't mean anything to us. So this is why it's here. You can change it, but I think it's just fine.
Okay.
Yeah, it gets billed under one big, they couldn't differentiate our departments in their system. They can differentiate that we're not City of Miami, North Miami, when we go to fuel up, but they couldn't pick the car. So it wasn't really worth the effort to go any further. So
and I think this was answered before in past commission, is it feasible that it is better to outsource the gas in North Miami? We couldn't do it in-house, yeah.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very efficient, convenient. You're
Yeah.
buying it at a non-taxed rate, et cetera.
I just wanted to address that. Any other questions
point.
on this one? Thank you. 54, any questions on 54?
No.
That's dues and membership. Thank you. 55, education and training. Any questions? Yes, Commissioner. No questions?
I have a question for Captain Rosario. We had money allocated for active shooter training, and obviously it wasn't used, so they put 0 down. I've always had some serious concerns about the church and about the school at the church, and kind of what's going on in the world that we live in. I'm assuming we do have an active shooter plan in place. If God forbid there's ever an active shooter, if we're not getting any kind of training for our police officers.
Yes, sir. So active shooter training, so we actually were able to identify many other agencies that have that training. One of them being the Miami-Dade Public School Police. They actually offer the training for us for free. And they're basically waiting for us to, as we want to start planning ahead and having our officers go to the training at least 2 or 3 at a time. But it has to be planned accordingly.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
Beautiful. All right,
I
great.
think if that to the point of listing all the trainings, there could be something to add because it's important to highlight that the need is covered, maybe not at a cost, but to Commissioner Gonzalez's point, that's what we approved it last year. I
Got it.
think the fact is we still need it and we're just getting it at some
Both the Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office and the college offer a variety of training that is available for all our officers at no cost to the village. And I'll tell you, they have hundreds of training between the two of them. That not counting on the stuff that we have available through FDLE. We just made contact with one of the representatives with FDLE, which is going to be sending constant communications of the training they have available as well.
Well, there's a labor cost associated with that training because the time that our officers go and spend there, there's a cost to that. So where would that be reflected?
So this is when our reserve officers come to play. Our plan is that whenever our officers are absent from the village, then our reserve officers, as we are fully staffed, then they'll come over and say, I have so-and-so is going to be going training this week. They will be able to cover their shifts while the officers are there doing.
Yeah, but we
the
still
training.
have to pay them. We still have to pay them to do the training.
Correct, but
Right.
they wouldn't cost the village anything because the officer that is coming to cover for the shifts is working at no cost. So the officer will go over and do training,
Yeah, you still have to pay
get
that
paid,
officer, though,
yeah,
right.
but
You
whoever is
still-
covering his shift is not being
I
paid.
see what
So
you're
it
saying.
will be at no cost to the
Got
village.
it, perfect.
Mhm.
Okay, perfect.
I do have one more question,
Yes, sir.
Captain. Gun range fees. I know last year we had some issues where we weren't getting into certain gun ranges. Hoping that with our new chief, we've moved
So
those feathers.
so Chief Avila was able to get not one, but two. We actually have North Miami. They're working with us and we have their training facility. We're constantly receiving communication from them, letting us know what days they have open. And we also have another facility down south that, and I think even have one more agency that is willing to work with us. And so that also, we're going to save that cost for the village.
Any other questions?
155, no.
55, thank you.
Yeah, if I could just follow up on the active shooting, we are also in talks with Miami Shores Country Club, Country Day School, St. Rosalima School, and the Miami Shores Elementary to coordinate our efforts in the active shooting training with the Miami-Dade County Sheriff's Department to all three of those schools, because we would, if there was something that occurred there, we would also be responding. So they wanted to coordinate with us, Miami Shores, and Miami-Dade County Sheriff's Department, so.
Great. Any questions on 58?
I had one. So accreditation software system, we overspend. Why is that? We were at 85, supposed to be we're at 13,000.
We can look at that and get back to you, Commissioner.
Okay, and then, and do we need it for next year as well? We have to cover that because it was a license, I guess? So we're contracted to have it. Is that it?
Commissioner, the captain touched on that subject about the vital use of that software a few minutes ago, actually.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't understand you if you said that. I was just wondering, because we have 8,500 in the budget.
So that line item will be because we decided to keep our Power DMS software,
Oh,
which is
okay.
the one we would utilize to write our departmental orders
Yes.
and communicate with the staff with it.
Got it.
And- Mhm.
And that's a contract that we have. with-
Yes, ma'am.
At any time, I mean, when, if you can just, I guess.
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
It's a yearly contract. It's
Yeah.
paid once a year and it covers the entire usage for all the staff members.
Perfect. Thank you.
Finance Director has a answer to your question, Commissioner,
Okay.
on the expenditure for accreditation.
You want me
Right.
to say it? There was a trip where the former village manager
We know.
and that's where they went and they credited or charged it towards accreditation, and that's where all that money went.
Got it. Awesome. So
It
the.
was, I think it was like $5,000 or something.
Yeah, it's about $1,000 each.
All right. I think that's it, right?
Good. Okay, on number 58? No, I'm sorry. Yeah. No,
So last-
sorry. Okay, this one is on the, doesn't have a number, 24 of 24.
Access control was what was access control?
It's the card readers.
I'm sorry?
Card readers and going in and out of the department.
But so it was nothing adopted, but it has 17,000 spent? Does that mean 17,000 over budget? I'm trying to understand where. Maybe it was coded somewhere else?
Yeah, that was the whole system that we put in on the police department last year.
Yeah,
When I first got here, they were putting that in.
it had $2,500 budgeted for, but it says we spent 17,000.
It was a approved expenditure by the previous manager to add the electronic access to the police department and city hall.
That was part of accreditation that they were saying that they needed for accreditation.
But we never budgeted for it?
Um,
I mean, I'm surprised we would have $17,000 not budgeted already accounted for.
It was decided. The actual cost for it was not specified in the budget anywhere. And the manager came to the commission and said, this is what we have to do to get accreditation. I'm going to move funds around in my department. And it was coded to this department. to
Okay.
this line item, but it was absorbed through the department, which is allowable but he got permission to buy the system.
You all approved the expenditure. by
Yeah.
Yeah.
resolution, and then he did an intra-departmental budget amendment.
So it's within the budget.
Within
of the
his own
police.
within
Okay.
the single department. So under
Yeah.
your code, if you're moving money from one line item to another
Yeah,
within the same department, you do not need a budget amendment. If
Got
you're
it.
Moving it from department to department, then you would
You
need
do.
a budget amendment.
yeah, because I'm seeing as a total adopted, it was almost 2.2, but projected is 1.8. So he had
Right.
funds to do that.
And
Yeah.
it was actually, as the attorney said, it was a journal entry taking the funds and moving it all to this so it would be traceable. Could have put it 5,000 in 3 different places, but to do it correctly, this is how it was accounted for.
Yeah. And I think that if I can just make it a reference to how important it is, because the fact, and I guess, when we're copy pasting from the previous year, we're leaving things flat, or the adjustments are needed so the control is better, so that we don't have another $5,000 accreditation dinner, because at the end of the day, that's budgeted for, so it could be spent. We approve the budget in the police department, but I think it's more to the point of being really needy and greedy with everything we have. So, because if you look at this, right, the last page is quite the difference. It pops up. All right, that's it for me. Thank you.
Any other thing that any other commission wants to comment on the police budget? Okay, Mr. City Manager, what's the next presentation will happen, please?
Yeah, well, it's going to be a Parks and Recreation Department, our Director, Issa Tornell.
I got it. I have mine.
Thank you, Mr. Issa, for being here.
No problem, sir.
Hey, Mr. Issa.
Just waiting for the presentation slide. Good evening, Commission, Mr. Manager, staff, residents. Issa Thornell, Director, Parks and Recreation. This is the budget proposal for the Parks and Recreation Department for fiscal year 25-26. Slight overview of what we are. I always like to call us kind of the soul of the village. Purpose of Parks and Recreation is to provide public spaces and recreational activities for people of all ages to enjoy leisure time, promote physical health, foster community engagement, enhance the quality of life within the community by managing parks, courts, playgrounds, other outdoor facilities, often including organized programs like sport leagues, educational classes, and special events. This year, happy to announce we added 3 new programs, Tunes for Tots, resident-led program, Pilates class for adults, another resident-led program, and our second yoga class, which is a little more advanced, and it meets on weekdays to make it more accessible instead of the Saturday classes, which is our original program for yoga. We were budgeted for 7 special events this year. 5 were executed. I will detail that more later. Projected for this coming year, I want to add 2 more programs. We're looking to accommodate more of adult programming. So right now, looking into a Zumba class, which we lost way back when COVID hit, but with the new instructor, and also outdoor boot camp exercise class for adults to utilize more of our green spaces. Operating days are staying the same. 7 days. It's been like that. I think we incorporated Sunday some years back. Sunday is our only day. Monday through Saturday, we're open 9 to 7 during daylight savings, 9 to 6 when the time changes. And on Sundays, we are there 12 to 6 and then 12 to 5 when the time changes. Our operational chart, as I discussed in my presentation earlier this year. 1 full-time employee, that's me. We've only had one full-time employee since approximately 2005. And we have 3 part-time positions, which are all currently filled. Proposed for this coming fiscal year, looking to hopefully add another full-time position. I'll get into more details in the following pages, and then continuing to have those 3 part-time positions, and one will be vacant as we are looking to move one of our part-time employees into that full-time position. So moving from four staff to 5 staff. Salaries and benefits, obviously with that increase or that additional employee moving to full-time, we're going to see a drastic. So I'm probably, I guess, the only department right now that has an increase in their budget. That full-time position, we are looking at a starting rate of $35,000 for the year. Obviously, with that comes benefits with the full-time position. What we did to offset that is we dropped down those part-time hours considerably. Almost about $21,000. That those hours will be offset by that new full-time position, overlapping, but obviously bringing in still that third-time part-timer to make sure we don't lose any traction. This is a huge ask, I understand, but for me, it is kind of long overdue. This department has one full-time position. Me in the mornings, I'm by myself until 2 o'clock, Monday through Friday. Our building, if you come by any day of the week, you will see 13 to 14 people inside. We have programs that run during the day. I also have people outside. I've incorporated the walk around, which gets my staff up and out. I continue to do that as well, even though it's for the part-time, but I make sure those are done in the hours when no part-time is there. So I'm spread thin in those mornings. And with added responsibilities, as we'll talk about in some of my highlights later, in this CITT and assisting with FDOT. Some of that is a lot of computer work, which kind of limits me in regards to being able to fully engage with the community outdoors during those early hours. In the afternoon, once part-time staff does come in, we are at our peak hours. School is now releasing. Aftercare program is starting. Our soccer program starts soon after that. And our park grounds just fill up in a matter of hours once that staff gets there. Not really conducive to me training anyone or getting assistance from them in any other aspects besides doing what they're as part-time employees there to do, which is oversee the grounds. We can't ask too much of our part-time employees. In addition, they work other jobs. This part-time employee who I'm looking to move to a full-time position, he is already on 4 days a week. This is an easy transition. But it will just give me more flexibility with hours of bringing him in. We know Public Works Department is down a man. These are little projects that sometimes I reach out to Public Works to do that now with this full-time employee, we might be able to knock out in-house simple things like repainting picnic tables, pressure washing walk areas, pressure washing playground areas, which usually I have to draw a man from Public Works. I assist and get my hands dirty in those things too, but to have my full-time staff there with me would alleviate some of that pressure on Public Works since they're already short man. So the major change that you see in this budget is approximately a $31,000 increase. That is the $35,000 for the full-time offset by the benefits, but also you do see the deduction of $21,000 in the part-time hours. This is the budget overview just for you to have and see those breakdowns. You'll see 13 line items that don't have an adjustment. Internally, some of those line items we did adjust. So like special events, even though the number didn't change, we removed the Youth Music Festival. We did some additions to a couple of the events that we know have kind of consistently gone over. A lot of that stuff is me adjusting to the times and the prices. Our special events have grown significantly over the last couple of years. I'm proud to say that people love them. People tell me from other communities they love them. They feel like our events are very inclusive. We get a lot of overflow from Miami Shores, a lot of overflow from North Miami and Miami-Dade County, unincorporated Dade areas, but our residents are always there consistently. The families, we've seen the growth with the dynamics of the village, a lot of little ones. That's why we're trying to encourage more youth programs for the toddlers, but also you'll see that foot traffic at these events as well. So we removed the youth festival, the youth music festival. We're going to incorporate some of that youth music festival into the jazz in the Park. And again, we had Jazz in the Park and the parade were the two new additions to our special events. Again, the board special events line item remained the same. They came under, and so did our special events. So though the number didn't change, we did reallocate some money there. Total expenses, highlights, obviously, line item 12, you see the full-time salary increase, that's a 52% increase. That's the proposed personnel increase of 1 and the proposed raise increase for the director. Cost of living and possible merit raise, so that may or may go down, not over. Line item 13, part-time salaries, you see a reduced by 39%, and that's the deduction I told you, but that would be offset by the full-time position. And then line item health insurance, obviously, you see that huge jump, that's 121%. That's obviously the increase of another full-time employee. Just some of our accomplishments this fiscal year. As I mentioned before, we added 3 new programs. That brings us to a total of 8 contracted programs. We have one in-house youth flag football program. Special events department is responsible for planning and executing 5 successful events this year. We were budgeted for 7. Movie night was canceled due to a scheduling conflict with 2 board events. I am currently constructing a yearly annual event, which will include all of our special events and all of the board events, so we won't have that mistake happen again. Facility renovations, we continue the renovations that we were collaborating with the BPay Foundation with, which included interior painting, front room furniture additions, 3 screen additions, wall mirror installation. We are scheduled to do exterior painting for this September 2025. We'll be on this budget out of Parks and Recreation. CITT this past year was pulled into a new role. I was responsible for submitting the quarterly reports, annual report, municipal questionnaire, and all additional documentation per our agreement with CITT. That's for our contracted on-demand service with Freebie. Additionally, attended meetings and presented on behalf of the village. FDOT as well. I was responsible for representing the village during our first ever triennial review. That's a 3-year review for our FDOT agreement. Though deficiencies were found, they apparently always find deficiencies, but most have been rectified to date. The village has successfully renewed our grant agreement with FDOT, working closely with Freebie and FDOT representation to close out the review. And then park grounds and equipment, perimeter and interior tree trimming completed with the assistance of Public Works. And then we refurbished the playground mulch in both of the playgrounds. Just important things for safety for us. Parks and Recreation revenue. We are continuing and on the goal of hopefully again increasing our revenue, obviously through added programming. Facility rentals have been up a lot this year. As you'll see later in the report, I hope to reevaluate the pricing for our facility rentals to match competitive parks in and around us, and also to reopen the picnic area, which was a former rentable area where we lost a huge tree. We now have those beautiful 3 trees there that are thriving and creating a whole new sense of shade there. So the goal is to put some new furnishing there and then reinvent that one as another rentable area, another way for us to bring in some revenue. So objectives for 2026. Programs, as I spoke before, I'm hoping to add those 2 new programmings. Obviously, that will be done by availability of time and space. I already have 1 contract that's been submitted, so looking good already for the start of the year. Special events, as I mentioned, we want to create this event calendar for all village community events and have that out by this new fiscal. So I want to have that calendar of events out by October 1st. So our residents can plan in ahead and lock in those dates for us to know they're there. It will also assist us in planning and making sure so we can reserve things in ahead, and hopefully by doing that, get some discounted rates. Grants, goal is to successfully submit application for the FIRDAP grant this year. That goal of replacement of our large playground. I've spoken a lot about this. It's really something close to me. Those playgrounds need to be replaced, not only because their life expectancy has reached its end, but also for safety. And another major impact of that full-time employee coming on will be eyes and ears in these areas where we have high traffic, especially during special events. Also want to work with the grant writers to find other funding sources for building, equipment, and grounds improvements. There's a lot of things we kind of Band-Aids on bullet wounds routine that we've done over the years. But also it's just a lot of things that are kind of reaching the end, and we need to start planning and putting things away for those repairs. Our floors in the rec center at some point are going to need to do. I just got an evaluation on the roof. We can do some patchwork, but again, at some point that roof is going to need to be looked at. So I want to work with the grant team very closely. They've been amazing. We've been working with them lately and help them find money for me. So whether it's a matching grant or hopefully a non-matching grant, or where we can knock out some of these little projects with no cost to the village. I also want to do an inventory chart, and this kind of ties into that. Kind of want to create a timeline detailing the purchase of all of our equipment, its life expectancy, what's it's costing us to repairs, and have this detailed chart so we can kind of look at that and start planning for the future in advance. I don't want us to get caught off guard with a major expense for an equipment fix. Some of these playground pieces, that playground is kind of so old, it's really hard to get parts for. And caution taping the playground for any more than 3 hours is almost impossible. The tape's going to come down at some point. We are not there 24 hours a day, and that just presents a safety hazard for everyone. So definitely want to create this inventory chart to better help us budget for the future on these large department purchases. Facility rentals. As I mentioned, I want to reintroduce the picnic area as a rentable area. The tree replacements are now providing adequate shade. And then a complete evaluation of our rental costs to see if there's anything there where we can tweak and possibly go up in the prices to even generate some more revenue. And outreach. I want to continue to work with the village departments to better communicate with the village through our social media accounts. I'm right now working with all the departments to try to get these flyers out, but in attending a meeting for Parks and Recreation the other day, a lot of the other municipalities are really using their social media to get words out, even for the smallest little details. And some of what they've received from their community is that people sign up for that on certain aspects. They don't want a bunch of emails, but they don't mind scrolling past and seeing Biscayne Park posted a picture on their Instagram. That's what it's there for. That's kind of what that tool is. So I think we can kind of maximize those other outlets to get more detailed information out and do it at a faster pace and more often. And then maybe we can pull back on the other outlets where people don't want as much information spread. So working with all departments to help in that. And for me, that's the Parks and Recreation budget proposal for 25-26.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, Sal, would you have any questions?
Thank you, Issa, for your presentation. It was great. This is like the commissioner said before the last presentation, this is a breath of fresh air to see the difference between last year versus this year is definitely needed, and I'm glad we're at this point now. Couple questions I have for the new position. I fully support it. I think it's a great idea to have an additional supervisor. Would that supervisor be working weekends so that way there's somebody on staff supervisor role on Saturdays and Sundays?
So definitely that is part of those hours that I want, especially on our rental days. So slow Saturdays, but the rental days, having another set of eyes, which is almost every Saturday. So yes, but also maximizing those hours through the week. So spreading out, not really in a locked in schedule, but that flexibility to have them knowing that I can go up to 40 hours. Whereas with the part-time, we kind of have to minimize those hours. And it's still bringing on staff. So if I'm not there, like you say, I would hope how we will work that schedule that he's there. So even if we have a part-timer there, there's always myself or that supervisor there. sometimes, but I would feel more comfortable with the supervisor also being able to work by himself, as all of our part-timers do at the moment. So until I leave when I leave for the day, our part-timers are then on their own for the rest of the evening. I want to get some more overlap in our high traffic times between the supervisor position, and then now we'll have 3 part-timers, which we kind of always will have 2 people on during our peak times, especially on the weekends and Saturdays when we have those rentals or programming.
I definitely see the benefit of having additional supervisor there during the weekends. You know, having somebody in a management role there, the facility has a lot of risks where people get injured or issues that come up. Having somebody there to handle that is huge, and I think it's a great idea. My other question is the programs. I see that we have a significant reduction in programs revenue from last year to this year. Is that because of reduction of programs themselves, or is attendance low?
No,
Or is it
that's
the
just
delay in-
where we are in the delay. So you don't see any of the summer camp numbers there, summer camp revenue. Youth tennis, she literally just brought me a check today, which is over $1,300. So you're gonna see that pull out. I also was speaking with finance the other day. We were thinking that one of something might have been misaligned. So you see rentals is high, even though rentals has been high. We think that one of those payments for youth soccer is actually falling in there. But I expect those numbers to pick up as we close out the year.
Okay. And my final question has to do with grants. I mean, obviously, I know you're working hard with FERDAP, but I know there's other grant opportunities out there. The primetime playground facilities.
Primetime playground, T-Mobile.
Is that another one you're going to look into?
Absolutely. So the prime time, and hopefully we can look into that to then fund the renovation of the side lot. So the goal obviously is always to find free money and money that we don't have to match with. For these larger projects like playgrounds, we are going to definitely have to find some money somewhere. But by splitting them up into smaller projects instead of trying to group them all together and do everything at once, I feel like with the FERDAP grant, if we lower it to 150, then it's a 75% match instead of that 50% match. Right there alone, it's only going to cost us $36,000 instead of when we were looking for 200, it was going to be $100,000. So that right there is it's saving money, but we're still getting where we need to go, which is fixing these playgrounds and making our playgrounds safe for our kids.
And it diversifies our chances of getting one of these grants.
Absolutely.
We saw what happened with Florida legislature last year. They vetoed FERDAP. If that happens again this year,
right. So we kind of had all our
chances.
eggs in one basket with that. If it happens this year and we're not working on any other avenues, then we're right back where we started.
And I heard you mention T-Mobile. You have intention of
there's a T-Mobile community grant that we're looking at. I think it's up to $50,000. The playground rep from Burke just sent me another one, which is it's also through the state legislation, but it's coastal. But I have to do the math to see if we're close enough to fall in it. But it's kind of like I'm going to a conference next week, so I'm going to pick everybody's brain in regards to what other municipalities are doing, especially smaller municipalities. So eager to see what I can bring back from there as well.
Thank you, Issa. That's all I got.
Thank you. Commissioner Gonzalez?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks again for the great job that you do over there at the parks. It's always been one of the best run departments in the city. So appreciate that. And I reviewed your budget, and honestly, I'm good with the entire thing. So I have no further questions or no further remarks. I'm good with everything.
Commissioner Hemsworth?
I have some questions, but I think I'll leave it if we're going to go line by line. They're very specific, so it shouldn't be a long time. But I just want to say thank you for addressing my questions also last week, and I think that did part of the job today. And for what you do. I mean, you've had the challenge to deal with the same equipment for many years. You know, I think the hope is that we don't see this here, but we see it happening. So being behind that and making sure that the grant finally goes forward is huge. But yeah, I think I'll leave the rest of the questions for the items.
I want to thank you for everything that you do. I'll talk about, but I like the idea that you are finally going to get your full-time employee. But I also think that you have done a great job, And I like to see in a budget to where we can give you, I don't know what you made last year. I think it was, but you're getting, I just think that we're not paying you enough. So I want to see in the budget if we can give you more money as a salary, because you do a lot. Every time I go to the park, most of the time you're always there. And you're always open to when residents want to talk to you. And I think that I agree with Commissioner Gonzalez, that's one of the best departments that we have had run. So I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Okay, just so we're gonna go over now line by line. Okay, as we did before, I'll go to.
Thank you all.
Thank you. And just stand by in case any questions need to be. Okay, line item 12, any questions?
No questions.
Yes, so here, I have a few questions in regards to the salary. The first one, I understand that we're splitting, so we have an 8% addressing COLA raise and a potential performance-based increase, right? And so my question is, are we doing this for every department as well? So we have a COLA confirmed at 3%?
Yes.
And then we are doing also leaving an aside for performance base? You're doing across departments, not just for the rec center?
Yes.
Okay, all right, awesome.
So you remember, Commissioner, that there's,
This
have you-
deep and,
no, we have the PBA.
Yeah.
So that's already
yes,
set in the budget.
Yeah.
And then we also, Public Works has their contract, so that's already set. So this would be for non-union employees that we are budgeting 3% and a COLA. Yeah,
3%.
all the non-union employees.
Okay, perfect. So that answers my questions.
I think it was 5% in total, 3 and 2.
So I just did 80, so we have 8% extra for, in this case will be ISA, right, next year? This is code 12?
Should be 5.
That's why I just want to make sure. Because then it's COLA and then you're leaving the 2 additional, so it's not 8% across the board.
Is it a question?
Yeah,
I'm
it is.
sorry.
I'm sorry if I didn't
It-
question mark it. I didn't do it. You don't have to answer it right now. I mean, that was the question I had. You can confirm it after.
Yeah,
It's
it should
fine.
be.
All right.
Okay.
That's it. Thank you.
Like I said, I just brought up, is it in the budget, city manager, any way that, like I said, I think Issa's doing a fantastic job. I like to see if there's a way we can give him, I know, what was his raise from last year, because I wasn't on the commission, how much he made last year and this year? Either one can answer that.
I don't know I can't compare what he had last year
Oh,
right
okay.
now.
Is there anything, any way in the budget?
Yes, so Commissioner, I think it's inappropriate for us to talk about individual performances at a budget workshop. But that's something you and I could have a discussion with individually. I think all our employees do a great job. You know, he certainly has done a great job. He has assisted me when I've been out. So, but I think that's a conversation we should have.
Okay, no, because I think I'm going to be talking about each department. I think the employees are doing a great job, and I think we need to pay them more money. Okay, any other questions on this particular item? Okay, 13.
No.
Any questions on 13?
Yeah, so the part-time salary, I had a couple questions here. So one of the things that I brought up on our conversation, Isa, last week was about this position and sort of what we are estimating as a salary. I appreciate that it went down a bit, but so you forecasted for 2025 to spend $53,000. We've only projected to use 36. So in terms of time, right, of the person, we're saying with the 3 part-timers, we spend $36,000. Why are we increasing it to 45? That would be my question. Average on that will give you like 32. If we keep the 3 part-timers, right? And the idea is that we're not going to keep 3 part-timers, we're going to keep 2. So I would have expected the number to even be lower based on what we've paid 2 part-timers. Yeah,
Is that the one in my report? Sorry.
I'm looking at the Excel.
So yeah, the one in the report is actually updated, which the part-time is budgeted for 32,563.
Okay, so you're grabbing the
We
average.
did the average of the last 4 years, as you suggested in our meeting last week.
Wait, so does it mean that I have a different Excel? Like the Excel I have says 45? Is there a different one? Okay. His report being the presentation.
Correct.
Okay. So you said you had it at the average around 32, right?
32,563.
Perfect. And then my second question would be, you're saying you're not going to need 3 part-timers.
No, I'm saying I want to keep 3 part-time positions still so we can have the overlap necessary.
So I understand the structure change you want to do, and I would support you with the additional full-time. I don't think I have the tools to say yes to keep 3 part-timers just because you're going to have a full-time person helping you. And again, I think where I miss so far is to understand the rules. So I know you do a lot more, you explained it, I'm sure, and it's far more than beyond that. I just don't know where the other person is helping you, sort of. So there is no overlap with, and we talked about, that time frames, there's seasons happening. It's not always busy in the summer versus the winter, all of that we spoke about. So I think where I would challenge is to have still, the same amount of money spent on part-timers where you would have a full-time on the whole time, and especially knowing, and in the past, you haven't needed that. I mean, the numbers sort of speak for the fact that you used less money in the past for those part-timers. So it's not time. And I understand, and I think one of the reasons why I appreciate the switch of the structure is because then you can train someone later on, right? We talked about that.
Yes.
That also comes with the risk of, you're training them for them to go to the next city a year after. But that comes with anything with Biscayne Park because of the budget that we have. So I'm hoping that position makes it more interesting. I would be considering, making sure that salary you have now, I don't know, 50, what was it? Did I have it right?
35.
35.
As well to 35.
It's like, who's going to be at 35 for a year, and maybe leave when they have 10
But
grand?
that's our problem with the part-time positions is
I know.
retention there as well. I
So
mean,
I just-
we look at $35,000, that's not even $17,000 $17 an hour. We are just now
Correct.
getting our part-time employees all up to $15
Yes.
dollars an hour. So I
Yes.
know it looks, that huge increase is more based to me on the benefits than it really is on the hourly wage.
Yeah.
But to answer your question on the why the 3 part-timers, because the important thing to me is having adequate coverage.
Yeah.
Yes, we've made it happen and I've made do, but we do not have adequate coverage 80% of the time during our prime time hours. One set of eyes cannot watch indoors and outdoors. It's
But you'll have
leaving
to.
ourselves open
Yeah.
to, and now we have an increase in programming, an increase in just everyday traffic, an increase in facility rentals. This will allow me to offset those times. Mind you, our business operation day is not an 8-hour day, it's a 10-hour day.
Mhm.
So my part-timers can work 10 hours. They're not, I have one person who works Saturdays, and that's a super long day for anybody. It's a 10-hour day. And we've been making it happen because those are the only days he works, but he works a full-time job during the week.
Claro.
We need that coverage to have somebody there with them during that time. Now, if my full-timer is working Monday through Friday because that's when I need him this week, now I have the flexibility to bring in 2 part-timers on Saturday. They can now split the day and
Yeah.
still have an overlap during our peak hours. So I don't think we're gaining a full-time person, but we also need to gain that coverage, which that part-timer will allow. And again, now this is bringing someone in now who's new, who I can train to that part-time position. So now, as we are now creating steps.
Yeah.
So this full-time position now is someone who I can take under my wing. He's young, he's really enthusiastic, he showed great promise. Someone who I can start to teach the things that there's not time to teach my part-timers that. And next week I'm on conference. Usually I leave 3 part-timers
You
back,
don't-
but
you
no,
don't
yeah,
do
no,
it.
so I'm just.
I get it.
The
I
main
get
thing
it.
for me is coverage and safety.
Yeah.
And now with the increase in all of our traffic programs, special events, I need more eyes.
Yeah.
And
And
if
I
we're
get
just moving
that.
to full-time, we're not getting more eyes. We're just getting more hours on one man.
But you'll be two the whole time. What do you mean?
But then if we don't add the other part-time, we'll still only be 4 people. We're just moving him to a full-time and then I'm losing a
I
part-time.
guess that's where I'm not understanding. So right now you're by yourself at the beginning of the day.
Right.
You open by yourself.
Correct.
Is what you said. You know, if I'm sick, like I have to be there opening the door. Nobody
Right.
there, right? And you're by yourself until what time?
2 o'clock.
Okay. And then you have 3 people that could rotate during the afternoon and then you leave and then they're there, right?
Right.
Saturdays, how does it work?
1 person works on Saturdays.
And it's not you, it's just a
The
part,
special event, then I bring in everybody and me
one
too.
person, one part-timer works from what time to what time?
9 to 7.
Okay. So you're going to have now someone with you from 5 days a week from 9 o'clock until,
That's where the flexibility, I think that's where the confusion, it's not just gonna be a Monday to Friday schedule for that full-time person.
Hmm.
I'm gonna be able to fluctuate that full-time person over where needed during the week. So Saturdays, I have a huge rental of 50 people. He doesn't need to come in Monday. I already have part-time staff in the afternoons.
but if it's a full-time, isn't a full-time?
He has to work 40 hours, but 40 hours within a work week.
Okay,
So
so you're just-
Sunday to Saturday, I can move those hours around. It gives me the flexibility now to know
Yeah,
I can have a supervisor in position.
okay.
Or if my
So that
part-timer
answers
calls
my
out,
first.
right now, if my part-timer calls out on Saturday and my
Mhm.
other 2 part-timers are working, I have to work.
Got
Even
it.
if I've already worked 48 hours, I still have to work that 10-hour day. I don't
So
have
that
that.
answered
coverage.
my first question in terms of shift, okay? The second is regards to the money, because you can still have 3 people, right, on schedule. They're just going to have less hours. What I'm saying is your budget hasn't shown that you needed more people in terms of time. That's you're underspending. You had more money to spend. You're spending 30% less. So the idea that is another person because we need more hours, it's not showing. That's what I'm saying. The difference is a change of structure is that you want someone to train long term. My challenge to that is it's very little money to hire someone that would stay. You're going to make the investment, and a year from now, the person's going to find that Miami Shores has an opening for an assistant and leave. That's our challenge moving on. So I'm not saying don't. I'm just saying restructure it in a way that is more interesting, maybe. And the other is, you know, if you are working full time Monday to Friday, 2 people all the time, which you're saying it's not necessarily going to happen that way, then you're not going to need the 3 timers at the same amount of money you've spent in the past. So I think, and we can talk more, you and I, later on detail as to how that phase in you see, but I see those 2 challenges. You know, you're asking for a full-time employee that comes with a lot of responsibilities. If that, you know, if we don't have the same budget next year, can we keep this person long-term? Are you going to be covered? And then is it interesting enough for them to come and then leave? What does it mean to us to have that hole again? So those things I think need to be considered. And then in money, I just don't see, again, I think it's the missing of the job description. Is he going to be assisting you, or are you guys splitting up roles? Is he supervising the rest while you're in the office? And I think that's where I'm not totally clear. I don't have a problem with the budget at all, and I 100% support the change of structure. I just don't see it sustaining right now. So I leave that as maybe we can talk more about those details, but that's where I'm at.
Okay,
I appreciate
no
it.
problem.
Okay. Any other questions? No? Okay. 21, Michael, any questions? Good, thank you. 22, retirement, any questions? Okay. 23, any questions?
No, they're all linked to the same.
24, any questions? No. Okay. 41, communications, any questions?
No.
43 utilities, any questions? 44 rentals and lease, any questions?
What's that, rentals and leases? What usually falls in here? Oh, the copier, sorry. That's gone, right?
I was just say a comment, Issa, I'm glad you got rid of your copier that you've been trying to get rid of for years.
Question for the rentals and leases, where is that? There is no rentals and, oh, that's right. I know what it is now. Forget it. Sorry. Thank you. Yeah. Any questions on that? Okay, good. Thank you. 45, property and liability insurance. Any questions? Thank you. 46, repairs and maintenance. Any questions?
Why was the increase here from, oh, no, sorry, it's a flat number. I read it wrong. Yep.
It's for 46? Nope. Thank you. Any questions for 48, the special events?
I had one. So the Pride Parade that you have here, you have 2,000 allocated. You're decreasing it to 1,000. Is it within the spend you have? Are you using the historical for this year? This was your first year, right? So you don't go over 1,000. That's what you need. And then the Jazz Fest, is there a reason why you're considering it higher for next year?
So I was there this year, Commissioner, and that event is getting bigger and bigger every year. It's becoming more and more popular. So those events that are popular, we like to spend a little bit more money into it.
Yeah.
And make it more attractive.
And then, and I don't know if it's here, but no, it's not here. So on this sense, I was thinking, you spoke about programs, and maybe I'm mixing it up, but is there a possibility to consider programs for seniors specifically? You know, that's an area we have a lot for all ages, I think, in general, but maybe there is something we can do with the foundation as well, you know?
Been the goal, and I'm really working hard to try to find that. It's tough. There's a lot of one-stop shop for seniors now, especially anything exercise related. Gyms, it's $10 so our instructors, none of those programs have survived because our instructors can't match what those gyms are charging. So we're trying to find something to incorporate something different. North Miami Foundation, we know they just received a bunch of money. So even if we bring back maybe those activities that they were doing once a month at the park,
Yes.
I've reached out there. So definitely on the
It's
menu.
like a quarterly, because the foundation had talked about some of the programs they have in place. Other places, they actually offer transport for some people. They identify, you know, in the list who are those in need and that could be interested because they've worked with them in the past.
Absolutely.
So maybe bring in something like that on a quarterly basis. Again, I don't know if this is the part in the budget that we need to consider it, but I will be all in support for that.
Definitely.
You had a couple questions?
It's not really a question, but a comment. Halloween, I know, is coming up where we are seeing more and more residents and non-residents come to that event as well. And I hope that we're planning for the influx of traffic. Last year, when the parking got reached all the way to 120th Street, they were parking to go to the rec center. So I hope that we're like planning on that traffic influx for Halloween night.
Right. We'll be prepared.
Any question? Thank you. Yeah, all these programs seem to be very good. I enjoy a lot of it. And hopefully, and I agree that we do get some senior citizen programs. It's very important. Thank you. Any questions for 49413?
My only question for it is, has the art board been contacted with this budget? Are they okay with it? Are they making any changes? I know they attended one budget hearing last year, so I don't know if they've commented on their budget.
Before first reading, Commissioner, we're going to reach out to them and see if we need to make any adjustments.
Yeah, that was going to be my question. And then, so the only expense is the one that's reported here, 2,265 against any of these events? It's a question. So year to date says 2,000 265. I'm in code 49.
And some of that hasn't been reconciled. So again, this was the first year that these events were in our budget. Where it's a reimbursement process. So a lot of these things will had trickled in probably after the 5/31 cutoff date, the year to date, which is here. So you should see those numbers increase, but they didn't go over any line item budgeted. And their goal is to do the same events next year.
Perfect. The reason I'm asking, I'm trying to see how does so the money from the foundation get to us? Where do we account for that?
From
For
the Biscayne
example,
Park Foundation?
Yeah, so for the rec, so you're saying, they help with putting the TVs, they paint it, they restructure. Where's the money coming that we can identify? The foundation has given us $5,000 and we successfully achieved it, or we've received zero, right? Or, half of it got complete. I don't know. I'm wondering where we capture that.
Yeah, so it was my understanding, I wasn't here at the time, Commissioner, but it's my understanding that the foundation went out and bought the items themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And it never came through our budget or anything else. They just took that money that was donated to the foundation, talked to Parks and Recreation, saw what the needs were, and then went out and selected items on their own, so they didn't have to go through procurement or anything else,
Mm.
and then it went through directly through them.
Is that a practice that we want to keep? I'm just wondering, in a way of tracking, some of the concerns I've received are about how we move forward with the projects. And I'm wondering if,
Historically, that's how it's been done. So if you look years ago, there's art donations that was done through the foundation. I think there's one out here. There's one
Yeah.
on Griffin. Those were decided by the foundation. The foundation took the money that was donated to them and bought those projects, those art pieces, and got approval from the commission to place it there. But the purchases and everything that money was run through the foundation.
because I was thinking if any of, for example, the Arts and Culture Board events, this is our revenue for the rec that comes straight forward. So it's not necessarily money that's being funded by the foundation in any way. I don't know why I always thought, because they do fundraising too, right? So I was thinking maybe they're covering any of it, but I guess not. I mean, that's independent completely. That's how we captured it. All right. And as a matter, I was wondering if that was the best practice, just so that we can track the projects, but I guess we don't have to because they're their own organization. They do as they wish. Okay.
Yeah, and historically, as I said, that's the way it's been done for many,
Yeah.
many years.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Gonzalez? Thank you. 52, operating supplies. Any questions?
No.
'54, membership and dues. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
No.
55, education and training. Any questions?
No.
Okay. This education and training is for who? Okay, that's what I thought it was. Okay, thank you. Okay, that takes care. Any other, that,
Before we close out, I
Yes.
just want to say to Director Issa, I just want to say, give you a little pat on the back for always running a very diligent budget. I know you're always very budget conscious. I just had informed the commission. I just had a meeting with him the other day where he informed me that he was really trying to hold every penny to hopefully purchase a water station at the rec center under this year's budget. And that just shows you the commitment he has to always being fiscally responsible with the village's dollars and trying to maximize the benefit for the residents wherever possible. And I just want to say thank you to Issa for that.
I can confirm that because I also talked to you about the water budget and you could have said, let's do it. And you explained to me that it's not feasible to do it. So I appreciate that you're looking out for the residents' money. Thank you. That's why I think you should get a raise.
Thank you, Issa.
Okay,
Yeah, so our next department is Code Compliance Department. Doreen is present to make a presentation.
I got it. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Oh, it's a
You got something else?
supplement. It's a supplemental. You, as we go along. I will explain. Stop it. Good evening, Honorable Vice Mayor, Commissioners, Administration, the Code Board Chair, and staff, and our resident. This budget proposal outlines a fiscal roadmap for the Code Compliance Department for the year 2026. My name is Doreen Grant, and I've had the pleasure of working in the Code Department for the last 3 years. Our primary function for the Code Department is to maintain and increase safety, health, and the welfare of all residents in the village. And we accomplish this by proactively inspecting properties for violations or responding to complaints that come into us from residents, elected officials, administration, police department, and other departments. When we are unable to achieve compliance through letters of intent, courtesy notices, or verbal warnings, we issue notices of violation and escalate such cases to a quasi-judicial board for hearings. Our activity for 2024, I would just talk about the inspections. We had just over 3,000 inspections in 2024. And this year, we are projected to have at least, to do at least 3,500 inspections, which is a little over by a few hundred number. So there's an improvement there in how many inspections that we're doing. Our code officer, Raphael, who's here tonight, has stepped up, I have to say. And the manager in the department is out doing active inspections. Next slide. Personnel. Last year, we had 5 members of staff in the department. Unfortunately, 2 left. And this year, we're down to 3. With counterintuitive power, we have been able to accomplish our tasks efficiently and effectively. We just use focused effort, prioritization, and continue to streamline our processes. We don't do any landlord inspections anymore. We've had very few renewals with short-term rentals. And this has helped for us to divert our efforts into other areas of enforcement. We've also been able to achieve some of our goals by directing some of our work to other departments. An example would be directing some efforts to Public Works to help us deal with issues in the public right-of-ways. PD has been very helpful with helping us with STRs after hours. And we are also depending on outside vendors to increase efficiency in our work. Next slide, compensation. This is the most expensive allocation in the code budget. This includes staff salaries and benefits that are very unique, staff salaries and benefits. There's one very unique allocation to professional services. Why do I call this a unique allocation? For many years, the department suffered through issues with lack of productivity and performance. It was the vision of our forward thinking of former village manager Mario Diaz to minimize wasted time, effort, and resources by contracting the right technical skills from outside. What he ultimately was able to achieve was not just fill a position, but add value to the department. What was important for the current manager in the process of putting together this budget was to restructure and find balance to support financial sustainability. So we reviewed how much effort and how much of our work in enforcement was directly building and zoning. And as a result, we cut professional services by 50% and allocated 50% to the building department. In front of you is a small exhibit. I wanted to give clarity on how much we do for building. There's 30 potential violations in that document, which are just examples of some of the violations that we issue. When you look at the totality of what we do in community enforcement, building and zoning do take quite a large percentage of the work that we do. And this is how we justify moving this allocation to the building department. Next slide. We've also allocated 40% of the code officer's salary for the same reason to building. So building and code are correlated in that the criteria established by the state of Florida to enforce building, zoning, and community standards are under the same administrative statute, which is Chapter 162. So examples of building violations you will find in this pamphlet. I won't go through them one by one. They're self-explanatory. Next slide. Our total expenses, I'm glad to report to Commissioner Gonzalez specifically, we have gone down by 52%. We cut the budget by over half. So on that page, will also show the revenues. So the variance, you'll see the variance in the slide is over 200,000 that we've been able to save in the proposed budget. Revenues for code in the year 2023, which was our most active year. The position for the manager was opened in 2022. So there was a lot of cleaning up that was done towards the end of 2022, and 2023 was our most active year. We were enforcing the STVR ordinance for the first time. We were enforcing the driveway ordinance for the first time. So there was a lot of violations issued, a lot of enforcement that happened from the cleanup and these two very big ordinances that we had to enforce. We brought home 146,279 cents in fines and payments for licenses, which is a substantial amount when you look at what the budget was that year for code. In 2024, we brought in over $100,000 again, and in 2025, we're projected to bring in another $100,000, maybe slightly over. How is this revenue generated in code enforcement? Administrative costs, hard costs for abatements, liens, fines, civil citations that are assessed when we issue these violations. We have had, I have to do a shout out to our resident volunteer, Linda Dillon. She helped us as a department in the first 2 years to send out letters and collect as many outstanding fines as possible. She's yet to do another send out in the next month. So we're hoping that we are able to collect more fines and more outstanding civil citations this year, before the end of the year. So our achievements. I'll quickly go through our achievements. Only listed what we were able to achieve in the past, in 2025, in the past year. What we accomplished was case management. We have now completely moved to GoGov. So all our licenses, code enforcement cases are issued in one program. Complaints come in through one program. We do still receive complaints through emails or people walking in, but this is our main source of information now, which helps to make things a little more efficient. Properties with approved variances, we managed to go through that entire program. We checked it, we reviewed it, and we were able to obtain all the updates for registrations, and we have all current registrations now. Code of ordinances, we have several sections that we were able to update, which Landlord registrations were permits, now moved to registrations. There was a big loss with revenue coming in because of this. We did charge 145 for each inspection we did, and this was over 300 inspections we used to do. We don't do any inspections anymore because this is now just a registration. So we charge $40 for the registration. There's a big difference in the money there. Outreach, we have launched our outreach program now, and we now send out letters of intent, which preemptively alerts residents of a future visit from a code officer. We have seen the difference in response from the residents when we send out these letters. We see more compliances happening. We see residents getting ready for us. I mean, walking on 11th Avenue now and seeing a lot of roofs clean will show you that these letters of intent are really, really working. It was a great addition to our outreach program. We've also incorporated thank you cards in our communication to acknowledge residents that keep up their properties well. Our occupancy certifications, we updated the forms. We worked with the village attorney on this one. He reviewed the forms for us, and these are now updated, and we're using current with forms that are current and updated. Department policies and procedures. This past year, we've been able to do procedures for the admin staff. The admin staff have changed quite a bit in the past few years, and we've been able to put policies in place that so that if one employee leaves, there will still be a blueprint, there'll still be a roadmap for the next employee to be able to use, and not have a break in performance. We have created a lien registry where all our recorded liens from 2025 are kept. We keep this on a share folder. It can be accessed by anyone. It's a public folder. And then our vendor also has a list of the liens that we file. It's a very substantial amount. I didn't get the actual number, but we have quite a number of liens that are filed and accumulating on a daily basis. With property maintenance, we continue to enforce enforcement efforts by increasing our sweeps for major property maintenance violations such as dirty roofs, exterior paint, driveways, and that sort of thing. Because with driveways, we enforce design standards, but we also need our residents to pressure wash, clean their driveways, and make them look pretty. Building and zoning code violations. We continue working with the building department to enforce building, I've mentioned this before, and zoning code violations, which account for a sizable percentage of the work that we do. We continue assisting the building department with resolving cases with expired licenses. This is a big issue. There were, I would say, in the past 2 years, a lot of licenses that had expired. We had to go through all expired licenses, see where there were code violations, and we issued violations for that, and we have worked with the building department to resolve those issues. Short-term rental vacations, short-term vacation rentals. We have had successful meetings and communications with officials from Miami-Dade County Fire Rescue. They agreed to assist the village with inspections once we amend and update our code to meet with state requirements for carbon monoxide and smoke detectors. We continue to actively work with the police department to monitor, verify, issue citations to those found in violation of the noise ordinance. This is a big one. Exceeding capacity. They're having parties and having people at a vacation rental, more people than is allowed. It's a huge safety risk, and the police department has been very helpful in monitoring this for us. We are not here after hours, we are not here weekends, so they do their reports and we issue violations based on the police reports. So I did go through the revenue. I'm gonna skip that and then talk about the objectives. In the year 2026, we are looking at implementing the sign ordinance, which former Commissioner Kennedy was instrumental in putting together. We haven't been able to implement this in the past year. We were just overwhelmed with a lot of things, but this is right on the top of the list for our objectives and things and what we need to do for this coming year. There's been a lot of issues with construction sites not following ordinances, parking in the wrong places and parking in the median. And we hope that by enforcing this ordinance, we will mitigate that. Standard and operating procedures, I just mentioned that. We've done SOPs for our administrative staff. And this was one of the things that Commissioner Amsler, for instance, was very insistent on, and we made sure that we had not just policies for our officers, but policies for our admin staff. Ordinances, we continue to review ordinances with the village manager and recommend amendments and changes. We will be recommending and proposing the following for review this coming year. Artificial turf is one of them. STVR, we need to update the detection of carbon monoxide and fire. We would like to make some corrections and updates. We are recommending corrections and updates to the current code. Filming permitted and permitted days and hours. We don't have that in our ordinance right now. And sometimes we have people coming in the village doing filming and it's just all over the place. There are no regulations. Special events, this is not codified. We need to have special codes for these. Painting boarded windows. This is a suggestion the manager brought about, and I have worked in jurisdiction when this is done. Painting boarded, when a property is vacant and it's boarded up, painting the board the same color as the house does improve the aesthetics of the house. So we are hoping that we can introduce this in the village of Biscayne Park. Properties look really horrible with just boards or things that have been put there to cover the windows and just doesn't match what's with the actual property or structure. Next are electrical permits. We are looking to enforce electrical connections or electrical charging stations for EV vehicles. Now, this is really important because we have noticed that in the village, a lot of people have these charging stations that drive electric vehicles, but we have very few permits in the system that we can point to. People who just did these connections and never got permits for them. It's another fire hazard safety issue, and we need to follow up on this. This is something that we will do this coming year. We will go door to door to the homes that have these EV chargers and check with the homeowners. We won't violate them. We will issue courtesy notice and give them a chance to get these permits. Outstanding fines, liens, and civil citations, we will continue to actively process the collection of outstanding fines and citations. We have a huge number of citations, some of them from previous years from before this team came on. Just today, our resident volunteer was doing a lien search as an example. She found 3 liens that are over 30 years old. Now, it's difficult to enforce these liens because liens have sunset periods, like code compliance liens will sunset after 20 years. Administrative liens, I'm not sure, it might be 5 years. So it's important for us to follow up on these liens and make sure we're able to collect these fines or at least bring these residents to come back to the board and ask for reduced fines. So we can just clear these cases from off the books. Online payments, we are hoping to incorporate online payments, a feature where people can make payments online. At the moment, we send them a form, a credit card authorization. It's very cumbersome. We're hoping that we can fix this with GoGov where people can apply for a permit, a license, and make a payment online without going through a long process of sending us information, and also for safety, for their the privacy safety for their information, for their private information. They send this through emails, and it's their credit card information, it's their personal information, and we don't want to be responsible for that. We want to make sure we have an electronic system where they can just do it online, and we don't have to have that information with us. I did talk about outreach, what's we would like to do in outreach and continue add on would be to implement our first annual educational event with the mayor, councilmen and women, and the residents. This will be an event that we get everyone together. Department heads can talk about their departments. We can communicate directly with residents. They can ask us questions. We can explain to residents. Usually, you would think residents know everything about code, but communication, education is needed. So an event like this, I think would bring us together, and we would be able to talk directly to our residents and explain our codes and explain why we do certain things, and just leave that door for residents to be able to come in and ask us questions. A vacant and abandoned property registry. This was suggested by one of our residents. It's a really, really great idea. I didn't bring the pamphlet that I got from another city on how their ordinance has been written, but it's really important that we have an ordinance for vacant properties. There's been an issue with squatters in the village in the recent years. So if these vacant properties are registered and property owners take the responsibility to register these properties with the village, we who work in enforcement, police and code, are able to keep a different kind of eye on these properties. We put them on our radar. We know this is a vacant property, and we watch activity, what's happening there, to avoid these crimes before they even happen. Communication. We are working with ISA, Parks and Recreation, to develop efforts of putting things out on social media now, so we can communicate with the residents now in a more modern way. Everybody's on their phone, everybody's on their is on the internet, so why not take the opportunity to use what people are paying attention to educate them on the codes and what we do and what the village offers in terms of code enforcement. With that, I will ask for your questions.
Any questions? Start from this side.
Doreen, I don't have any questions. I just think it was a wonderful presentation. I will say that I love the outreach that we've done already this year and that we're going to continue to do next year. I think it's a very needed thing. And I've seen the results of it myself. I think that your department's doing a great job with that outreach, and I fully support it. And also, I fully support the reining in of the budget. I think that this budget presents to us as a much more sustainable model for the village, and I'm glad to see it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doreen. So just, if you don't mind, quickly, before we go line item, and for the benefit of the residents, can you just explain really quickly how you were able to lower this budget by over 50%? And can your department continue to do the job with that over 50% cut that you're proposing?
Yes, two ways. One way was we did lose 2 employees, and we made a decision not to replace them. As the manager said, the overall idea has been to do more with less. So I just spoke about our code officer here stepping up. I have had to step up. I had to lose the high heels and put on the tennis shoes and get in the field. So I go out in the field and do inspections myself. The code officer has stepped up, and he is bringing in a lot of numbers, and I'm really, really grateful for that. That's one way. The other way is what we did with the professional services. When village manager Mario Diaz introduced this position, he brought this position with the idea that administration would pay, code would pay half of the for the professional services. The way we've done it now is how he wanted it. But a different administration came in and they saw this very differently and took that number out of the building department and brought it back into code, which was not sustainable, which was not the best thing to do, because this money now, that money was going to come out of the budget. When we split it half and half, only half of it come out of the village budget. The other half is coming from building, which is a completely different operation. So this is how we've been able to cut the budget by half. And
Part of that question is, so do you feel that you can do the job that your department requires with the lower staffing level that you're proposing?
absolutely, we've been able to do it. We lost the field code supervisor. I believe it's 8 to 9 months now. I could have cried. Maybe I did a little bit. But we've been able to carry on, just the two of us and the clerk in the office. We've been able to carry on the work. In fact, our numbers have improved with less staff. Just by us, maybe the realization that, hey, there's no one else, it's just me. I have to get out and do the job. So I get out, do the inspections, do the administration, and still continue opening my aperture to train them. I have a heart attack.
Commissioner Amsler, any questions? Okay, please.
So, Commissioner, how do we do more with less? And, how do you reduce your department by 50% and still meet the needs of the residents? And she touched on it. One is thinking outside the box. And one of the things we did was the letters of intent that she said. So we sent out a letter to the residents before we even go out and make an inspection. And instead of having 5 officers, now you're just using 1 officer to send, or a clerical person inside the office to send out these letters and saying, hey, these are the most common violations that we see before we even do an inspection. So that we're obtaining compliance before we even get there, And she's noticed that, and some of the residents, and I think the code board have noticed that people are complying on their own. And it's just a matter of education, educating people more on what the code requirements are.
Yeah, I understand, but she also said that she's seen an increase in the amount of citations or
Our number of inspections have increased. I would say that. And part of it is I hate to talk about myself like this, but I am the most experienced code officer in the department. Me getting out into the field does make a difference.
Oh, no doubt about that. I agree with you there. Okay. All right.
And I would just add to that with a saying I found very interesting. It's by Lena Horne. It says, it's not the load that breaks you down, it's the way you carry it. So what we have done is, with this heavy load, we have just been steady and didn't fall apart. We took it by the horns and we just did what we needed to do to make sure things happen.
Commissioner Amsler?
So a lot was answered. I had the same questions. I think it definitely feels unease after coming from another budget where we heard all of you, including yourself, promoting the fact that we needed more money in this department. And we approved 5 people. That was a big change for us. We went through hours of exposing the numbers. We did the same research. And we move forward with that. So it does not feel very comfortable to me to come and say that with 50%, we're going to do more. The numbers speak differently, right? So you're showing you're doing more. Yes, I'm saying they show differently than what we approved last year, which raises eyebrows, and I think definitely creates a feeling of unease. I don't know what we're giving up for that. I don't know what that means. I think the proactive approach definitely helps. I think the communication for residents help.
Yes, one thing to keep in mind, I don't mean to interrupt you, is the change in the landlord ordinance. Remember, we used to do over 300 inspections for landlord permits.
Yeah.
We don't do that anymore. The ordinance changed, so we don't have to do those inspections. it definitely has freed us up to do other things. The
That's important.
STVR ordinance, when we opened and started enforcing it, we had over 30 licenses that we were monitoring. Right now, I think I could be wrong about this number. I didn't look at it tonight, but we have about 7 or 8 renewals only. That's over 20 licenses less. So
Because
it's
there's been less short-term rentals?
I think the changes in the market, properties are not selling, vacationers are not coming. And some.
Of renewals, you're saying. So people that
Renewals.
had a short term, they're not renewing, so probably they're moving into long term.
They are moving into long-term. We've actually had quite a few properties that moved long-term. And then we've had quite a few properties that left because we issued them with so many violations, being party houses, they packed up and left. So we only have
That's a great thing and stat to bring forward. I mean, we've fought with short-term rentals for 2 years now. I mean, proving that STR sort of ordinance and the police involvement, code involvement. So
Absolutely.
that is proof to your work. So thank you. And it's interesting that that's moving the needle.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It was a lot of inspection and it was a lot of inspections and it was a lot of monitoring on
Yeah.
our part.
Yes.
Because remember, we had that program, that virtual program we had to go into to monitor people who were advertising. We don't have to do much now in that area. So we've moved all our attention back
To
into the
things
field.
Back into the field.
Correct.
I'm sure you feel more comfortable without your heels. We're seeing the benefit. Thank you. You look as
I
beautiful.
miss them.
Yes. And then I think the impact, I think it's smart to put in both budgets. We had to. I mean, there's part of, a learning curve that comes in with that. That's it. I just want to say thank you for what you do. As always, you're super professional. I appreciate you very much. Same thing for the rest of the team. Rafa's here too. So thank you. And I just think you guys are going to be wearing those shoes. So
Tennis shoes.
I
Thank
just,
you.
I'm all in. It's saving us money. I just wanted to state that. I don't know what that impact might be. I'm
Long-term.
hoping, obviously it's not it's beyond the money at this point. I'm hoping the services that we are granted don't go sort of overlooked because of the budget.
We'll
And
do
then
our best not to disappoint.
I know, I appreciate that. And then the other question I had on professional services. I guess it's not a professional service. I'm trying to understand. So CAP, you said we've lowered that 50%. That is because which other positions were we hiring through CAP? Yeah, it's just Doreen, right? So why are we lowering 50%? Where's it coming from that's 50% less? No, I just saw in the chart and I was.
I think it's a phrasing issue. It
Oh.
was changed and misallocated last year. You may remember none of the lines were correctly coded the way budget. So you don't have a good apple to apple.
I was gonna say.
That part,
Okay.
that part of the reason the budget is so much of a swing is because of the correction from last year.
So we just moved this to
we
the
re-racked it.
budget.
Remember, I redid every expense in both departments to get that corrected. So I think the bigger topic is what is the right percentage? We're using 60-40, 60% in
Got it.
code for the staff person and
Yes.
50-50 for Doreen. I think there's an argument that we might consider as in this process to go 50-50 for both of them.
Okay.
There's surplus in the building department that would
That you can.
support that.
Okay. That was one. And then that opens the other question. So in terms of just CAP, is our budget remains the same? Are there increase to be expected in terms
don't
of
change.
contract that we're not?
If it's under contract, this represents it.
Same. So
We're
for,
good.
in terms of what we have with them, that doesn't change.
Yep.
Okay. That's it. Thank you very much.
On the cap, when it comes up, I have a question in reference to the cap, so I'll wait into that. As far as the rentals you were talking about, we had one where close by where I live had a lot of complaints, and now the owner has either sold it or he's living in it himself. So that does affect it. The permits, the landlord permits, I know you don't do that anymore. It hasn't affected the landlords not living up to code.
I would say in a sense it has, because even though we sent out quite a lot, multiple reminders that the code has changed, we no longer have to do this. All you have to do is pay the $40. We just need you to be registered. The number of registrations we've had have been very few. So what we have done is, I'm only able to send so many violations at a time. Is to send out violations, I send 20 to 25 at a time. So I send out these violations. I'm able to do it sometimes from my house, or I'm able to do it in the office in a very short period of time. We send them out, and just once we violate them, we get a response. I'm not able to do the hundreds at the same time. So I do them in smaller portions.
So they're living, instead of not charging them the $95 that you would charge.
No,
Looks
we
like
only do-
they're living up to what the code.
Some are, not all. I have to say, it wasn't a good percentage that we had that responded to the registration. However, we'll continue enforcing it. We'll continue sending them notices and violations so they can respond.
One of the good things about you eliminating the landlord permit is that the landlord passes the expense on to the renters, and it's really bad. You're doing a great job. My only concern is burnout. You guys are working so hard. I am concerned about burnout, and burnout can make it where things go down badly.
Yes.
What are you going to do? I mean, how are you going to handle that?
Thank you for that, Commissioner. It's a very real thing, burnout. But like I said, in that saying, it's how we carry this. It's us prioritizing, and it's us streamlining what we do to still be effective. Burning out is human. I'm not gonna overstate that or understate that. It can happen, but I'm always communicating with the code officer about how we can limit, how we can make it better, how we can follow up on our cases without overdoing it, or without us doing more than we can manage. So we are consciously looking at that all the time.
Vice Mayor, gonna have a question.
Just one more question. Do you have a plan
Do we have a plan?
I mean, hopefully it's not going to happen, but
Yeah,
you
hopefully it
got to
doesn't.
be prepared
Oh.
that it's going to happen, and it can cost us a lot more money later on. I don't think it's going to happen. I think you two guys are working great, but
We
it's
hope
gonna
we
happen.
hope that it doesn't. Like I said, Commissioner, we are doing what we can to make sure that doesn't happen. We have streamlined a lot of what we do and doing it differently, doing it better. And I personally do put in extra hours on weekends. I mean, I come in for 4 hours or 3 hours here and there, so I'm able to spread out my work. But I'm also able to work in peace and quiet when there's no one here.
Definitely. Okay.
So we do small little things like that too.
I don't believe it's going to happen, but I just like
We
to
hope
think
not.
that
We
it doesn't
hope
happen.
not.
Okay,
Yeah.
Commissioner Amsley, you said you had one more question?
On that, so do we have the ability to hire part-time with CAP if there is need, in the middle of the year, you can just hire additional services for it. It would just have to be a budget amendment. If it's not within the budget project. And the budget, sorry. What do you mean?
Yeah, and I'll let the manager talk, but one of the things we looked at was what's happening with other cities. North Bay Village has 2 people working, a manager and a code officer. I went to, what's the city next to us? The name's.
Miami Shores?
Miami Shores. I spoke with the code officer there just to find out how are you guys doing this. These villages are slightly bigger than us, and they have a manager and just like us, a manager and a code officer, and they're doing it that way.
Yeah,
So I draw from that, and I think we can do it.
okay, thank you.
Okay.
And if the flexibility is needed to the point, I just wanted to make sure I get it right. You're saying it doesn't have to be on the,
Yeah, so Commissioner, let me address that. We, building department, if you know, Pedro was out for a while.
Yeah.
And he was in South America, and we brought in another building official to help us out. They didn't charge us any extra for that. He's been here off and on for the last 3 or 4 months. He's been a great asset, no additional charge to the village.
so
for
you
that.
can always tap
Yeah.
into that if you do need it. Okay. Excellent. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, again, thank you very much. Okay, any questions on reference to 12? And reference to 21? 22? 22 is the
The benefits,
retirement
they're
contribution.
fixed.
No, okay. The 3, health insurance. 24. That's the workman's comp. 25, unemployment. Okay. Okay, just for 31, professional services. I have a question, but I won't say anybody else asks.
No.
Okay, okay, this is in reference to, okay. This year's budget, there's 156K for cap, which is in for Doreen. That includes Doreen. My question is now there is a 25K. Are we keeping Doreen? And are we hiring our own person to do supervise? This was given to me as a question one of the residents asked. So.
So the original budget for current year was budgeted at 156,000 and we're tracking lower than that. But the actual allocation is revised in this budget to be more accurate of 50% into the building department. And so we can lower it to the 78,000. There's no people being changed.
No people being changed. Okay. Okay, that's all I have. That's, again, that was given to me by residents. 41. Any questions? Thank you. 44 rentals and leases.
So the cars here, they're at 0. Are where are the
The new
vehicles?
cars, the ARPA reimbursed car.
They're gonna
Yeah,
be
yeah,
able to do
so
that?
we're purchasing 2 new vehicles out of the ARPA funds.
Okay.
So
but-
yeah, that's why it's 0. There's
Perfect.
no expense.
That's it?
Commercial insurance, any questions?
No.
46, repairs and maintenance, any questions, please? Thank you. 49, any questions? This one, I mean, I like, at least I know when I was on the commission, we always had a contingency of having a lot of money. I'm glad to see that we don't have any money there. So that's a big plus, because with the contingency, they can spend anything they want. And this way it's accountability. So I do like to see that so far with all the other ones. 52, any questions? Operating supplies?
Just a comment that there's fuel there for $900. That's gonna get removed out.
Excuse me, I didn't hear that.
The 52, there's $900 for fuel that's gonna get removed out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Good. Thank you. 54, membership and dues, any questions? Great. 55, education and training, any questions?
No, I just had one that I missed to ask if nobody else has another one. On 12, which was salary, what's the expectation increase? You have that 5% also, so we have Rafael only? Okay. That's it. All right, thank you.
Okay, no questions. Okay. Okay, so, Mr. Manager, that takes care of all 3 departments. Before we adjourn, if there's a motion to adjourn, could you explain what's going, that's what the residents will know, what's going to happen at the next, what we're going to cover at the next workshop?
Yeah, so the next workshop would be all those remaining departments that will make a presentation on those.
We'll be able to get in that short period of time. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Before we do,
Yes.
Mr. Manager, are we also gonna go over the funds?
Yes, we'll go over the funds also.
Perfect.
Are we
Okay.
defining the date for the variance? I don't know if we were to do that.
So the village clerk will reach out to you to get a consensus.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Understood.
Thank you.